Chapter 1392. Time flew by in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. In the vast misty spring ocean of the great Tang Empire, a large number of immortal arrays had been set up. This was the place where Tan Xiu and the 36 late-stage supremes were preparing to transcend their tribulations. On this day, the misty spring ocean had gathered more than 500 supreme being experts, as well as demons, devils and ghosts that were comparable to supreme being experts. Xiu, are you really confident? Supreme Star Soul was also one of the 36 people preparing to transcend their tribulations and ascend. Although he was confident in his son, it was still a divinity tribulation after all. A slight mistake could cause his soul to dissipate, so he was still a little nervous. Tan Xiu smiled faintly. Don't worry, I'm confident. Supreme Star Soul nodded silently and looked into the distance. His wife, Apotheon Carmen Mist, was wiping her tears and looking in their direction. This time they left. Whether it was Tang Xiu or the other 36 Supremes, none of them knew when they would be able to meet their friends and relatives in the immortal world again. Activate the array. Tang Xiu flew up into the air and surveyed his surroundings. He looked at the more than 500 supreme being experts in the surroundings and shouted sternly. Immediately, the genius's transparent energy barrier caused Tan Xiu and the 36 late-stage supremes to form seals one after another. Everyone swallowed 2 drops of god blood and grabbed a divine stone with their other hand to absorb the energy contained within it. Dark clouds covered the sky, and lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The second emperor of the great Tang Empire, Tang Song, appeared outside the array and looked at his father, Tan Xiu's handsome face. Under the gaze of many powerhouses, he shouted, "Father, I've found my next target. Wait for me. We will definitely meet in the God world." Tan Xiu nodded in satisfaction and said, "I look forward to seeing you in the immortal world, Song." A terrifying aura descended from the sky. The terrifying divinity tribulation made the 500 powerhouses around them retreat. All of them had gone through many tribulations, but they had never experienced a tribulation like this, where 37 supreme being experts were going through it at the same time. Looking at Tan Xiu and the others in the sky, the experts of the various forces all revealed nervous expressions. If the great Tang Heavenly Emperor wants to transcend his tribulation to become a god, I think he can easily do so. After all, he once withstood the attack of the god tribulation and successfully broke through to become a god. I also agree with this point of view. The great Tang Heavenly Emperor had never done anything unprepared, yet he chose to transcend the tribulation together with 36 Supremes. This was simply a huge mistake. Just by looking at the thunderclouds in the sky, one can understand how abnormal and terrifying the divine tribulation they are about to face is. The great Tang Heavenly Emperor has made countless decisions in the past, and he always completes them perfectly. I believe that he will be able to safely pass the God tribulation this time. Many people speculated and prayed. Tan Xiu gently raised his arm and said loudly, "Get ready for the divine tribulation." Boom, a terrifying aura descended from the sky, bringing great pressure to everyone. However, whether it was Tan Xiu or the 36 late-stage supremes, all of them were able to remain calm. The 99 Divine Tribulation. It was the most terrifying heavenly tribulation in the immortal world, and it would only appear when a supremacy was breaking through to become a god. Immortal cultivation. Contending with the heavens and the earth. As the lightning struck down and the flames turned into a sea of fire, Tan Xiu used the heavenly art of cosmic genesis to strengthen his physique and took the lead in smashing the attacks of the divine tribulation. The strongest defense was offense. The 37 people, including Tan Xiu, fought against the heavenly tribulation again and again. The strength they displayed shocked countless supremes, as well as a large number of perfected golden immortals. 3 days passed. Tan Xiu and the 36 supremes all successfully broke through and transcended the tribulation. Congratulations, great Tang Heavenly Emperor. Congratulations, Supreme of the great Tang Empire. All the Supremes floated up at this time and cupped their fists toward Tan Xiu from different directions. Tan Xiu laughed loudly and said, "Thank you everyone. I already know some things about the God world. Whether it's the immortal world, the demon world, the spirit world, or the Azura world. As long as we can ascend and become gods, we'll be on the same side in the future. I, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, will be waiting for you in the god world. Xiao. Su Lingyun came from afar and appeared in front of the pale Tan Xiao in the blink of an eye. Tan Xiao knelt down in the void and kowtowed to Su Lingyun a few times, murmuring, "Mom, Xiao is unfilial and can't accompany you for the time being. You must take good care of the things I left for you in advance. Also, if I progress quickly in the god world, I might be able to find a way to descend from the god world soon." Su Lingyun nodded firmly and said, "Xiao, if there's no danger in descending from the god world, you must come back often to visit. If there's danger, then forget it. Although I started cultivating late and my aptitude is mediocre, I'll definitely cultivate diligently and come to the god world to visit you in the future." "That's right. We'll go back to visit you." Apotheon Carmen Mist also appeared in front of Tan Xiao out of thin air. She had a reluctant expression on her face as she spoke slowly. Tan Xiao kowtowed to Apotheon Carmen Mist again. When he stood up, he said, "Trust me. We'll definitely meet again soon." After saying that, he came in front of his women and looked at their tearful faces. He gently wiped away their tears and comforted them. "Be careful, husband." When Tan Xiao came in front of Mu Weining, the crying Mu Weining said while sobbing. Tan Xiao hugged her tightly and said, "Don't worry. I'll definitely be careful. I'll cultivate diligently and become stronger with all my might. When I can break the spatial barrier between the immortal world and the god world with a single punch, I promise to find a way to bring you all to the god world." But Mu Weining nodded heavily and hugged Tang Xiao's arms with more strength. "I'll wait for you." Kong Xia hugged Tan Xiao and said softly. Tan Xiao revealed a smile and said, "Trust me. I've never let you down." But finally, Tan Xiao came in front of Han Qingwu and looked at her face that was filled with reluctance. He hugged her and said, "Qingwu, you'll have to worry about the Empire's matters. You're Tang Song's mother, and he's now the emperor of the Great Tang Empire. I hope that under his leadership and your assistance, the Great Tang Empire will become stronger and stronger. Also, tell Xiao Xue that I've left her a lot of things that will be very useful to the Great Tang Empire in the future." "Don't worry." Han Qingwu nodded silently and gave Tan Xiao a deep kiss. Parting always made one's heart feel uncomfortable. Tan Xiao didn't like this atmosphere, and neither did his father, Tang Yunda. After the father and son looked at each other from afar, Tan Xiao kowtowed in the direction of Tang Yunda. Then he looked at his 36 subordinates and shouted, "It's almost time. Let's go." "Wait a minute." A figure flashed lightning fast from the distance and arrived in front of Tang Xiao in just a few breaths. When Tan Xiao saw the person who came, a trace of reluctance flashed in his heart. Now, Gu Yin had grown into a great beauty. In Tan Xiao's eyes, she was his own daughter. Looking at her tearful appearance, Tan Xiao gently hugged her and said softly, "Darling Yin, Master is going to the god world to become stronger. I'll leave the family to you. I hope you can help me take care of the Great Tang Empire and our loved ones just like Yen." Gu Yin raised her arm and wiped the tears on her face. Even though her voice was a bit sobbing, she still said firmly, "Yin will definitely do it, Master." Tan Xiao patted her shoulder and said in a clear voice, "Everyone, I hope you can ascend to the god world as soon as possible. I, the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, will work hard in the god world and wait for your arrival. When the time comes, I'll prepare good wine and wait for you to drink it with me." After a while, a golden beam of light with a diameter of 10,000 meters shone down from the sky and enveloped Tan Xiao and the 36 powerhouses who had successfully crossed the tribulation together. "Take care." Countless words converged into a torrent. Countless pairs of eyes looked at Tan Xiao and the 36 powerhouses as the golden beam of light slowly rose and eventually disappeared above the sky. She originally wanted to continue writing and write 10 million words, but too many people were urging her to end it. The comments section and the WeChat account were also cursing her. She felt tired. Perhaps the story of the immortal world wasn't as wonderful as she had imagined. She would strive to write more wonderful stories in the next book. She might write some foreign stories about Earth and the God world. However, she would only publish foreign stories on her WeChat account in order to avoid being scolded by those trolls. Thank you, brothers and sisters, who have accompanied her for 2 years. I really can't bear to part with you. If you want to communicate with her in the future, please feel free to leave a message on her WeChat account. Her WeChat account is JYSJ00, or you can search for her on her WeChat account. Finally, I wish all my brothers and sisters good health and happiness. Chapter 1393. When Tan Xiu opened his eyes again, he found himself in a pool. He glanced around and saw that the 36 people who ascended to the divine world with him were all there, so he subconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. In the next moment, Tan Xiu's expression turned very ugly and an unprecedented sense of crisis welled up from the bottom of his heart. Because Tan Xiu found that he seemed to have turned into a mortal. Apart from his physical strength, he didn't have the slightest bit of immortal spiritual force in his body. If they encountered danger in the pool, wouldn't they have no choice but to die? Darling, what's going on with the water in this pool? Why does it feel like a swamp? I can't even move my feet. Apotheosis Bella was the second to open her eyes. She immediately looked at Tan Xiu and asked with a horrified expression. According to the inherited memories left by drunken Immortal Supreme, this should be the Immortal Exuviate Pool. After ascending to the divine world, immortals must undergo the tempering of the Immortal Exuviate Pool's water to temper their immortal physique into a divine physique. Only then can they be considered as real deities. Supreme Star Tears said in a deep voice, however, although the Immortal Exuviate Pool is an opportunity for us, it's also dangerous because Supremes from different galaxies will enter the Immortal Exuviate Pool after ascending to the divine world. In order to turn their Supremes into deities as soon as possible, the Supremes of each galaxy will kill the Supremes from other galaxies who ascended to the Immortal Exuviate Pool to fight for more cultivation resources for their Supremes. Almost as soon as Star Tears' voice faded, Tan Xiu and Supreme Bella heard 2 screams. Looking in the direction of the sound, they saw a giant wrapped in golden armor grinning hideously as he brutally killed an Immortal Exuviate Pool's Supremes. The Immortal Exuviate Pool was extremely ugly and looked like a lizard monster. It was obvious that he didn't ascend from the Milky Way galaxy, which made Tan Xiu and the others feel a little better. Everyone, don't make a sound. Try to hide your head in the water and wait for the transformation to succeed. We'll act when we encounter a crisis. Tan Xiu saw that everyone woke up one after another and looked at the direction of the screams with a worried expression, calling out to them in a low voice. Tan Xiu's calm voice instantly allowed everyone to find their backbone. The 36 Supremes, including Supreme Star Soul, forcibly suppressed the doubts in their hearts and lowered their heads without the slightest hesitation, completely submerging their bodies into the pool. Tan Xiu heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the golden armor giant was completely immersed in killing the newcomers and did not notice what was happening on his side. He quietly hid his body in the pool. Why did this heavenly path of universe tree suddenly bloom and bear fruit? My Dantian space has also expanded by tens of thousands of square kilometers, and it has endless vitality? When Tan Xiu immersed his mind into his body, he could not help but be stunned. The 12 zodiac carvings actually have such a miraculous effect. My unintentional actions on Earth back then were really profitable. Very soon, Tan Xiu found out the reason for the transformation of his Dantian world. Back on Earth, Miao Weneng had given Tan Xiu 2 jade carvings that had been passed down in his family. At that time, Tan Xiu could only see that the jade carvings contained terrifying energy and the trajectory of the heavenly Tao. He had collected all 12 jade carvings in order to increase his chances of ascending to the God realm. Tan Xiu had never expected that the 12 zodiac jade carvings, which had always been calm and peaceful in the immortal world, would undergo such a huge transformation in the God realm. Not only had the terrifying energy contained within been completely released, but the trajectory of the heavenly Tao had also been released at the same time. Tan Xiu looked at the originally barren Dantian world that was now overflowing with vitality. It was not the slightest bit inferior to the real world. There was only shock on his face. So only the immortal exuviate pool's water can truly activate the power of the 12 zodiac carvings? Looking at the pool water that flowed into his Dantian world like the Milky Way, and the 12 zodiac jade carvings that were gradually merging with his Dantian world, Tan Xiu's eyes shone with a dazzling light. Tan Xiu could clearly feel that although the immortal spiritual force in his body had disappeared, new spiritual force was born in his body. Moreover, it was increasing at an extremely exaggerated speed. Tang Xiu's cultivation level also rapidly increased along with the increase of his divinity force. True God, Great God, Heavenly God, Golden God, Profound God, Ancient God. Low-level Ancient God, mid-level Ancient God, high-level Ancient God, Perfection Ancient God. Just as Tan Xiu was about to break through the Ancient God realm and become a God King, the sun, moon, and stars wheel in Tan Xiu's Dantian world suddenly shone brightly. The 12 zodiac jade carvings actually turned into 12 kinds of animals under the illumination of the sun and moon divine light, running around in Tan Xiu's Dantian world. At the same time, the growth of the spiritual force in Tan Xiu's body finally slowed down. My cultivation jumped 7 big and 28 small stages in one go. Isn't this too exaggerated? After a long time, Tan Xiu couldn't help but say in his sleep. According to Tan Xiu's knowledge, the God realm's cultivation level was divided into 12 stages: True God, Great God, Heavenly God, Golden God, Profound God, Ancient God, God King, God Monarch, God Emperor, and Hierarch. The True God, and Great God lived at the lowest level of the God realm and had to guard the immortal exuviate pond for 100,000 years. During that time, they could encounter all kinds of dangers and die at any time. Only after advancing to the Heavenly God realm would one have the qualifications to leave the immortal exuviate pond and roam the divine domain. However, the immortal exuviate pond was the place with the weakest spiritual force in the divine domain. Apart from the pond water that could temper one's body, there were almost no other cultivation resources. Thus, it was extremely difficult to advance to the Heavenly God realm. Many supremes in the immortal world could only live in the divine domain near the immortal exuviate pond for the rest of their lives after ascending to the God realm. In the end, they would die of old age in the immortal exuviate pond. I originally thought that I would be like Senior Drunken Immortal Supreme and have to wait 100,000 years before leaving the immortal exuviate pond. That way, I wouldn't be able to resurrect Old Sycamore and Eagle in the foreseeable future. Since my cultivation level has risen to the Ancient God realm, I should be able to leave the immortal exuviate pond soon and resurrect Old Sycamore and Eagle as soon as possible. Tang Xiu recalled the battle with Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, where Wutong and Eagle had sacrificed themselves in order to fight for a chance to survive. The corners of Tang Xiu's eyes were slightly moist, and a warm feeling welled up in his heart. Tang Xiu used his divine sense to scan his surroundings. He discovered that the 36 Supremes who had ascended with him had all completed the tempering of their bodies. Each and every one of them was eager to leave the immortal exuviate pond. However, because they had not received his orders, none of them acted rashly. Among the 36 Supremes, only Supreme Star Radiance and Supreme Bella had deep accumulations and had reached the mid-level True God realm. The rest were all at the early-level True God realm. Drunken immortal old fart, I finally know why you've gathered so many true gods from the Milky Way to the immortal exuviate pond. It turns out that 37 newcomers have ascended from the Milky Way galaxy this time. But do you think that the true gods you've gathered can protect these 37 newcomers? Drunken immortal old fart, you've waited for nearly 100,000 years, and only 30-something newcomers have ascended from the Milky Way galaxy. These new blood are the hope of your Milky Way galaxy. Are you really willing to let them die in the immortal exuviate pond? How about this? 10,000 high-grade spirit stones for one newcomer. As long as you prepare 370,000 high-grade spirit stones, we'll let these 37 newcomers from the Milky Way galaxy successfully reach the shore. What do you think? Just as Tan Xiu was about to call Supreme Star Radiance and the others to the shore, a clamor suddenly entered everyone's ears. At the same time, a dozen figures appeared above their heads. These people were looking at Tan Xiao and the others with ridiculing gazes. At the request of her brothers and sisters, Quiet Night would continue writing about her return from the immortal world. There would be chapters on the divine world and chapters on Earth. The first chapter would be placed at the end of the book, and the rest would be posted on her WeChat account from time to time. If you want to continue reading about the immortal world, please follow her WeChat account as soon as possible. Search for Quiet Night's Thoughts or enter JS00 to follow her WeChat account. Quiet Night had shared a theme song from the immortal world on her WeChat account yesterday. She was sure that her brothers and sisters would like it very much. Chapter 1394. Parangons were the most basic and commonly used cultivation resource in the divine realm. Due to their universality and circulation, parangons were the most widely circulated currency in the divine realm. A high-grade parangon was worth 100 mid-grade parangons, and a mid-grade parangon was worth 100 low-grade parangons. The true gods at the bottom of the hierarchy could only earn 300 divine stones in a month of hard work. These divine stones were barely enough for their own cultivation, and it was impossible for them to have any leftover divine stones. The true gods of the puppet galaxy demanded 10,000 high-grade divine stones from each of them to buy their lives. It was obvious that they were asking for a sky-high price, and they had no intention of letting Tang Xiao and the others go. The gods from the bank galaxy could clearly see that the gods from the puppet galaxy were toying with them. They trembled with anger, but there was nothing they could do. Because the puppet galaxy was very powerful in the divine world, the Jade Lake God Domain where the immortal Exuviate Pond was located, the puppet galaxy was practically the only power in the Jade Lake God Domain. The gods of the other galaxies were all plundered by the gods of the puppet galaxy. This caused the puppet galaxy to become stronger and stronger, while the other galaxies became weaker and weaker. God Senro, the gods of the Milky Way have always been doing the lowest level of hard labor. We don't have any extra income, so it's impossible for us to take out so many parangons. Please be magnanimous and let us go. We are willing to contribute all our savings. Just when Tan Xiao and his party thought that the gods from the Milky Way would protest, a flattering voice rang in their ears. The speaker was a silver-haired old man with a hunched back and a golden gourd hanging from his waist. If you can't take out the money, then scram. I think this trash can be sold for tens of thousands of parangons at the slave market. Just as the old man's voice faded away, Sun Luo kicked him and then began to seriously observe Tang Xiao's group. Hey, the quality of the newcomers from the Milky Way is not bad. There are so many beauties. It seems we've made a fortune. When Senro's gaze inadvertently swept across Bella, Gun, and the others, his eyes lit up, and he became spirited. Ah, congratulations, Boss Senro. We can have a few more bed warmers. Senro, after you're done playing with them, can you give them to us to play with for a while before selling them to the slave market? This batch of newcomers from the Milky Way, not only are the women beautiful, but the men are also very handsome. I remember that Lord Rimu hasn't met a suitable male pet for a long time. If we send this gigolo to Lord Rimu will definitely reward us handsomely. The godly figures of the puppet show swept their eyes over Tan Xiao's group without the slightest scruple, and they laughed loudly while making judgments. Anger and sorrow flashed across the faces of the Milky Way galaxy's deities. Even Supreme Bella and the others behind Tan Xiao were filled with despair and helplessness. You must be Senior Drunken Immortal, right? I'm Star Cultivation Great Emperor, as well as the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. I'd like to ask, what is the highest cultivation realm of the deity guarding the immortal Exuviate Pond? And what is the highest cultivation realm of the deity guarding the immortal Exuviate Pond? Tan Xiao patted Supreme Bella's shoulder and gave everyone behind him a comforting look. Then he walked to the front of the Milky Way galaxy's deities and asked the old man with the golden gourd. Tan Xiao had seen the projection of Drunken Immortal Supreme in the secret palace of Drunken Immortal Supreme, so he recognized the old man with the golden gourd hanging on his waist at a glance. At the same time, he also saw that Drunken Immortal Supreme was a mid-stage true god, which was the highest cultivation realm among the Milky Way galaxy's deities. The one with the highest cultivation in the immortal Exuviate Pond is Lord Li Mu. He's the guardian of the immortal exuviate pond and is an early-stage heavenly god. As for the highest cultivation realm in the immortal exuviate pond, it should be a perfected heavenly god. Although drunken immortal supreme didn't know why Tan Xiao would ask such a question, he still nodded kindly at Tan Xiao and answered without hesitation. Senior drunken immortal. Upon hearing that the highest cultivation realm in the immortal exuviate pond was a perfected heavenly god, Tan Xiao heaved a sigh of relief inwardly. At the same time, a crazy idea popped up in his mind. Gigolo, there's no place for you to speak here. Scram. Just as Tan Xiao was about to continue inquiring about the god world from drunken immortal supreme so that he could make the most accurate judgment, an ear-piercing voice suddenly rang in his ears. At the same time, a whistling wind came from above Tan Xiao's head. It turned out to be a deity from the puppet galaxy who saw Tan Xiao ignoring their existence and talking to drunken immortal. He couldn't help but slap Tan Xiao. Be careful, husband. Be careful, Emperor Monarch. Be careful, Xiao. Everyone from the Great Tang Empire, who ascended with Tan Xiao, felt the malice on the face of the deity from the puppet galaxy and the powerful force contained in that slap. Their hearts jumped to their throats and they subconsciously cried out in alarm. The deities from the galaxy led by drunken immortal supreme couldn't help but close their eyes. They didn't want to see the scene of Tan Xiao being smashed into meat paste. On the contrary, the deities from the puppet galaxy revealed cruel smiles on their faces. Just when everyone thought that Tan Xiao would definitely not be able to escape, Tan Xiao snorted coldly and stretched out his left hand to grab the deity's palm. Under the dumbfounded gaze of the deity from the puppet galaxy, Tan Xiao easily grabbed the deity's palm. In the next moment, Tan Xiao raised his right fist and smashed it on the deity's face. With a muffled bang, the deity's head turned into nothingness before he could even react to what had happened. Tan Xiao looked at the headless corpse in his hand and then at his fist, carefully comprehending the power he suddenly obtained. This guy was completely unprepared just now, so I couldn't judge my true strength. Tan Xiao muttered softly. In the next moment his eyes fell on the dumbfounded deities from the puppet galaxy. How dare you kill a deity from our puppet galaxy? Are you tired of living? You're courting your own destruction. Not only will your actions harm yourself, but they will also cause the extinction of all the deities in the Jade Pool immortal domain. After a long time, the deities from the puppet galaxy finally reacted to what had happened. They immediately scolded Tan Xiao. Hearing these people scolding, the deities from the Milky Way galaxy looked as if they had lost their parents. Their faces were ashen because they knew that Tan Xiao had really caused a great disaster. For tens of thousands of years, the deities of the Milky Way galaxy had been struggling to survive. Tan Xiao's actions undoubtedly gave the deities from the puppet galaxy the best excuse to exterminate their race. Only the drunken immortal supreme saw Tan Xiao's calm expression and recalled the two questions Tan Xiao had asked him just now. His eyes flashed with hope. Trash like you, it doesn't matter if I kill you. What's there to be surprised about? Facing the scolding of the deities from the puppet galaxy, Tan Xiao snorted coldly. Then, he jumped out of the immortal exuviate pool and punched the deity from the puppet galaxy who had scolded him the most fiercely. Seeing that Tan Xiao actually dared to take the initiative to attack him, the deity from the puppet galaxy was enraged. He immediately punched at Tan Xiao's fist with a cruel smile on his face. In the next moment, the smile on the deity's face froze. With a crisp "kacha" sound, the bones from the fists to the arms of the deity from the puppet galaxy were crushed bit by bit. If all of you only have this much strength, then it will be very difficult for you to leave the immortal exuviate pond alive today. Tang Xiao finished speaking and his fist already grabbed the head of the deity in front of him. The poor deity from the puppet galaxy had not yet accepted the fact that his strength was completely crushed by Tan Xiao. He followed in the footsteps of his companions. Don't yell anymore. Use your full strength. I hate noise. After killing another deity from the puppet galaxy, Tan Xiao opened his hands. The other two deities who were still scolding Tan Xiao flew to Tan Xiao's side. Without any hesitation, Tan Xiao broke their necks. After killing 4 deities, The group of deities from the puppet galaxy finally quietened down. They looked at Tan Xiao in shock, trying to figure out what was going on with Tan Xiao's body. Unfortunately, Tang Xiao was enraged by the unbridled and arrogant attitude of these celestial gods, so he didn't give them any time to react at all. Taking advantage of the moment when the deities from the puppet galaxy were stunned, Tan Xiao punched and kicked, killing another 10 deities. For a moment, the immortal exuviate pool fell into a strange silence. It was as though Tan Xiao was performing a feast for the eyes. Everyone's hearing seemed to have problems as they could not hear anything. They could only see the scene of Tan Xiao waving his fists and legs as the deities from the puppet galaxy fell to the ground. The group of people who were originally arrogant and domineering in the immortal exuviate pond were like helpless children in front of Tang Xiao. Each and every one of them was like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves, easily killed by Tang Xiao. Very soon, only Sen Luo was left in the immortal exuviate pool. Sen Luo was like a little chick as he was grabbed by the neck by Tan Xiao. Do you choose 1 million high-grade spirit stones to redeem your worthless life, or do you choose death? Asked Tang Xiao indifferently while looking at Sen Luo, who was completely scared out of his wits. I don't have 1 million high-grade god stones. In the entire immortal exuviate pool, only Lord Li Mu can take out so many god stones. Please spare my life. I am willing to be your slave and serve you. Sen Luo no longer had the arrogance he had before. He chose to surrender without hesitation. Lord, as long as you don't kill me, not only can I help you control the immortal exuviate pool, I can also help you control the entire Jadeite Lake celestial domain. If you control the Jadeite Lake celestial domain, the deities from your Milky Way galaxy will be able to survive there. With Lord's cultivation, as long as you have enough time, you will be able to take over the surrounding 3 celestial domains. Sensing that Tan Xiao's killing intent was getting stronger, Sen Luo could not wait to state his value. You can see through my cultivation? Tan Xiao was just about to kill Sen Luo when he heard Sen Luo's last sentence. He couldn't help but frown. Lord, when I became a great god, I awakened my innate skill, perception. I can see through the cultivation of any deity. If there's nothing wrong with my innate skill, Lord should be at the great circle of the ancient god realm. You can become a god king at any time. Sen Luo's heart was filled with bitterness when he said this. Sen Luo's innate skill had brought him endless convenience in battle and allowed him to escape many calamities. However, he never imagined that because of his arrogance and carelessness, his innate skill would bring disaster upon him. Sen Luo's words were like a drop of water being poured into a pot of boiling oil, causing the entire immortal exuviate pool to boil. Everyone looked at Tan Xiao with shock and awe. Silent Night was extremely grateful to her brothers and sisters for their support and love over the past 2 years. She was so touched that she created another celestial domain fanfic. However, because it was a fanfic, the plot would inevitably jump from place to place, and it wouldn't be able to connect seamlessly with the main text. In order to avoid causing trouble for the original readers, all the fanfic would only be released on the official WeChat account. Those who didn't follow Silent Night's WeChat account were encouraged to do so as soon as possible. Silent Night's WeChat account didn't just have exciting fanfic, it also had all sorts of beautiful pictures. Moreover, Silent Night would often interact with everyone on it. Most importantly, the fanfic on the WeChat account was free to view. Silent Night's WeChat account was JYJS00, or you could search for Silent Night's thoughts on the WeChat account. Chapter 1395. If you want to live, just your innate talent of perception is far from enough. Tan Xiao suddenly exerted force in his palm after he finished speaking. Even though Limitless still wanted to speak, Tan Xiao didn't give him any chance. After being reborn, Tan Xiao's loved ones had become an untouchable reverse scale in his life. No matter how valuable Limitless was, the moment he unscrupulously sized up Tan Xiao's woman and declared that he would sell the great Tang Empire's people to the slave market, Limitless' fate had already been sealed. If you want to live, then you must prove that you are valuable enough. Otherwise, you will suffer the same fate as those from the Puppet Galaxy. After killing Limitless, Tan Xiao's gaze swept over the dozens of people outside of the Great Tang Empire's team and the Milky Way Galaxy's team. There were thousands of immortal exuviate pools in the God world, and they were located in different divine domains. Each divine domain governed more than a dozen immortal worlds galaxies. When the supremes of these immortal worlds galaxies broke through, they would ascend to the corresponding immortal exuviate pool in their respective divine domains. Almost every galaxy would send a team to welcome the newly ascended gods of their respective galaxies. The immortal exuviate pool in the Jade Lake divine domain wasn't very large. When the Puppet Galaxy's gods clashed with the Milky Way Galaxy's gods, the gods from the other galaxies immediately noticed the commotion. However, they didn't speak up for the Milky Way Galaxy's gods. Instead, they just stood at the side and watched the show. Naturally, Tan Xiu didn't have a good impression of these teams. "Arg, you're just a newbie. Don't go too far. We didn't provoke you, so what right do you have to kill us?" Limitless said that you're a perfected ancient god just to survive. You really think that you're an ancient god, huh? The gods who were watching the show clearly didn't expect that they would invite a disaster upon themselves. After being stunned for a moment, a few of them started shouting indignantly. Tan Xiu coldly snorted. With a wave of his hand, these people who shouted loudly turned into a cloud of blood mist. Tan Xiu's merciless act of killing completely stunned everyone in the immortal exuviate pond. It also made everyone from the Milky Way Galaxy, who was led by drunken immortal Supreme, look at each other in dismay. Only the people from the Great Tang Empire, who had long been accustomed to Tan Xiu's style, were still digesting the fact that Tan Xiu had already reached the ancient god realm. They were completely indifferent to the fact that Tan Xiu had killed people. Under the watchful eyes of Tan Xiu, the gods who were watching handed over the god's stones without hesitation. At the same time, they told him what they thought was the most valuable information, hoping to save their lives. Tan Xiu just listened quietly from beginning to end. He didn't kill them, nor did he say that he would let them go. This caused the gods to feel immense psychological pressure. "Xiu, if these people don't have any evil intentions and are willing to work for us, then please spare their lives. It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. We've just ascended to the god realm, and it's time for us to establish our forces. The 37 people of our Great Tang Empire are far from enough." Supreme Star Soul immediately stepped forward and pleaded for mercy. The gods who were watching the show were overjoyed when they heard Supreme Star Soul's words. Star Soul's words and actions had already revealed his relationship with Tan Xiu. Without waiting for Tan Xiu to agree, the gods kowtowed to Star Soul and Tan Xiu to thank them for sparing their lives. "Senior Drunken Immortal, you have been guarding the immortal exuviate pond for nearly 100,000 years, so you should know these people very well. Can you tell me who among them deserves to die and who can be spared?" Tan Xiu nodded at Supreme Star Soul and asked Supreme Drunken Immortal, "If Senior Drunken Immortal doesn't mind, I welcome you to join our Great Tang Empire. My aunt inherited your inheritance in the immortal world, so we can be considered to have a deep relationship." As soon as Tan Xiu finished speaking, the expressions of some of the gods who were kowtowing and thanking him changed. They turned around and ran without hesitation. The Milky Way Galaxy's strength was at the bottom in the Jadeite Pond divine realm. If it weren't for the fact that the gods of the Milky Way Galaxy were very united and good at socializing, they would have been wiped out long ago. Due to their weak strength, the gods of the Milky Way Galaxy had a very low status in the Jadeite Pond divine realm. They were often insulted and bullied. Those who turned around and ran were undoubtedly the ones who bullied the gods of the Milky Way Galaxy the most. "You want to run? Do you think you can?" Their guilty behavior instantly made Tan Xiu understand what was going on. He snorted coldly, and the next moment, they involuntarily flew upside down in front of Tan Xiu. Tan Xiu didn't give them any chance to beg for mercy and ended their lives. Drunken Immortal greets the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. "It's my fortune to be able to serve the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. It's also the fortune of all the gods of the Milky Way Galaxy that the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor has ascended to the god realm." Drunken Immortal Supreme's eyes lit up when he saw Tan Xiu's clean and efficient way of killing people. He immediately knelt on the ground without hesitation. The gods of the Milky Way Galaxy behind Drunken Immortal Supreme were stunned for a moment, but they quickly followed suit and knelt on the ground before Tan Xiu. Clearly seeing Tan Xiu's cultivation and style of doing things, Drunken Immortal Supreme and the others knew that Tan Xiu would inevitably set off a bloody storm in the divine realm. Heavenly Emperor, although the highest cultivation of the gods in the Jadeite Pond divine realm is only at the Heavenly God Great Perfection realm, the Jadeite Pond divine realm is only a subsidiary of the Heavenly Jade divine realm. I don't know what realm the highest cultivation of the Heavenly Jade divine realm has reached. If Heavenly Emperor intends to manage the Jadeite Pond divine realm as our Milky Way galaxy's territory, I suggest that Heavenly Emperor use the power of thunder to kill the guardian of the immortal Exuviate Pond and the domain lord of the Jadeite Pond divine realm before your strength is exposed. Also, we can't let the Heavenly Jade divine realm find out about the changes in the Jadeite Pond divine realm. As long as we are given 10,000 years, with the resources of the Jadeite Pond divine realm, it should be enough for you to promote to God King. The other gods of the Milky Way galaxy can also greatly increase their strength and contribute to the Heavenly Emperor's expansion. After realizing that Tan Xiu respected and valued him, Drunken Immortal Supreme naturally understood the purpose of Tan Xiu's invitation to join the great Tang Empire. He quickly got into the mood and concisely described the current situation of the Jadeite Pond divine realm and the Heavenly Jade divine realm to Tan Xiu, and also put forward some practical suggestions. After listening to Drunken Immortal Supreme's suggestion, Tan Xiu couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. This was because what Drunken Immortal Supreme said coincided with what Tan Xiu was thinking. It wasn't surprising that Drunken Immortal Supreme could guess his thoughts immediately, but the fact that he could put forward so many suggestions in an orderly manner showed that he had definitely been planning this for a long time. It was just that he didn't have the opportunity to implement it. With such a person who was familiar with the divine realm and good at planning, joining the great Tang Empire, it was a great gain for him. Everything will be as Senior Drunken Immortal said. I will immediately carry out the decapitation plan on the Jadeite Pond divine realm, and you can clean up the scene and collect the resources. Senior Drunken Immortal, please pay attention to the materials needed to resurrect the Supreme of the immortal world when you are sorting out the resources. After asking Drunken Immortal Supreme about the general strength distribution of the immortal Exuviate Pond and the Jadeite Pond divine realm, Tan Xiu teleported away. The direction in which Tan Xiu teleported was the immortal Exuviate Pond Guardian's mansion. With Tan Xiu's strength, it took him less than 10 breaths to flatten the Guardian's mansion. After half an hour, Tan Xiu arrived at the mansion of the Jadeite Pond divine realm's domain lord. Before the other party could react, Tan Xiu had already killed him. Under the coverage of Tan Xiu's spiritual force, he discovered that there was no one above the true God realm in the entire Jadeite Pond divine realm. Only then did he start to study the Dantian world in his body. The moment the 12 jade sculptures turned into 12 animals, Tan Xiu faintly sensed that the Dantian world in his body had undergone an inexplicable change. Countless heavenly Tao laws were released from the 12 jade sculptures, which contain the heavenly Tao laws of countless galaxies. Among them, the densest was actually the heavenly Tao laws of Earth. Tan Xiu even had a feeling that he could instantly arrive on Earth with a single thought. It had been a few days since the end of the immortal world. Quiet Night's complex emotions were indescribable. In order to thank her brothers and sisters for their company over the past 2 years, Quiet Night would regularly update the immortal world's news and character analysis on the official account. She would make up for the foreshadowing and regrets in the main text. In the future, the WeChat official account would become the only platform for the immortal world's news, and it would all be free to enjoy. Chapter 1396. Tan Xiu tried his best to suppress the impulse to return to Earth and carefully examine the changes in the Dantian world inside his body. Because Tan Xiu knew that not only was there a barrier between the immortal world and Earth, but there was also a barrier between the divine world and Earth. It was not easy to cross the barrier. Otherwise, the Earth would be full of immortals, and the whole world would be in chaos. Hey, this is the immortal Exuviate Pond? Before, Tan Xiu only saw the 12 jade carvings inside his body turn into 12 kinds of animals before being interrupted by the Puppet Galaxy's deities team. At this time, when he looked at the Dantian world inside his body, Tan Xiu found that there was a lake inside his Dantian world, and that lake was exactly the same as the immortal exuviate pond. In fact, the Dantian world inside Tan Xiu's body couldn't be called a Dantian world, but a universal world. Because the area of Tan Xiu's Dantian world was too big, it was not comparable to the Dantian world inside an ordinary deity's body. Moreover, Tan Xiu's Dantian world contained countless planets, and these planets exuded endless vitality, which was absolutely impossible to happen in the Dantian world of other deities. This is not the immortal exuviate pond, but the yin-yang divinity lake. After carefully sensing the energy of the lake in the universal world, Tan Xiu found that the energy of the lake water far exceeded the immortal exuviate pond. He subconsciously remembered the inheritance he obtained in Walled Hill Village. When Long Zhengyu helped Tan Xiu build Walled Hill Village, the village collapsed and injured people. Tan Xiu and the thief sect's disciple, Yang Lu, went to explore and found a tomb within a tomb. Finally, they teleported to a miniature world. In that miniature world, Tan Xiu not only obtained the inheritance of unfettered God, but also obtained the yin-yang divinity lake's child lake divine vein, which unfettered God moved from the divine world to earth. His cultivation of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis also advanced from the meridian transformation stage to the viscera transformation stage. I heard that in ancient times, when immortals ascended to the divine realm, they bathed in the divine water of the yin-yang divinity lake. More than 200,000 years ago, when immortals ascended to the divine realm, they could only bathe in the water of the immortal exuding pond. Could it be because God Xiaoyao moved the divine vein of the yin-yang divinity lake to earth? If the yin-yang divinity lake in my internal universe is comparable to the yin-yang divinity lake of the God world in ancient times, does that mean that as long as I break through the barrier between the God world and the immortal world, I can let my loved ones in the immortal world bathe in the lake water and directly ascend to godhood without having to go through the supreme godhood tribulation? Why did God Xiaoyao choose to move the divine vein of the yin-yang divinity lake to Earth instead of another planet? He even said that Earth was the ancestral planet, but the ancestral planet had changed and was no longer as magnificent as before. There are traces of the divine realm in Walled Hill Village, and there are also traces of the divine realm in Resting Cemetery Island. What is the relationship between the Earth and the divine realm? One question after another gushed out from Tan Xiu's heart, forcing him to ponder over it seriously. I'm really stupid. I remember that God Xiaoyao told me that his inheritance is in the yin-yang divinity lake. As long as I take out the inheritance in the yin-yang divinity lake and take a look, wouldn't I know everything? Soon, Tan Xiu patted his head and then sank his spiritual sense into the bottom of the yin-yang divinity lake. In the next moment, a golden ball shot out from the divinity lake and submerged into Tan Xiu's glabella. Tan Xiu only felt a golden light flash before his eyes, and then his whole body entered another space. Just as Tan Xiu entered this space, his pupils involuntarily widened because he saw a giant axe falling from the sky and chopping toward him. Under the pressure of the giant axe's imposing aura, his body couldn't move at all, and he couldn't even use his spiritual sense. He couldn't help but want to shout. Soon, Tan Xiu found that the giant axe didn't fall from the sky, but was held in the hands of a person. The giant axe wasn't chopping toward him, but toward the body that his spiritual sense was attached to. Because Tan Xiu's scream didn't come. The person holding the giant axe was a big man with a dragon-like beard. His height was several hundred feet, and purple light was lingering around his body, issuing crackling sounds from time to time. The dragon-like bearded big man brandished the giant axe while his body moved rapidly. Wherever he passed, not even a blade of grass would grow, and all the men and horses would turn into charcoal. God Xiaoyao, you have disregarded the rules of the divine realm and acted unscrupulously, disturbing the order of the divine realm. You deserve 10,000 deaths, and today is the day you will be beheaded. Seeing that his giant axe was about to hit God Xiaoyao, the dragon-like bearded big man's eyes couldn't help but flash a trace of a grin. What are the rules? The rules are that the weak are prey to the strong, and all the gods must be deceived and enslaved by you 12 supremes? If we can't even be free after becoming a god, why should we become gods? If we can't even pursue what we want to pursue after becoming a god, what's the use of us becoming gods? I, God Xiaoyao, hereby swear that as long as I, God Xiaoyao, am alive, you 12 Supremes will not hide the truth of the destruction of the ancestral star, and you 12 Supremes will not be able to control all the gods in the world. As soon as the dragon-like bearded big man's voice trailed off, a familiar voice rang in Tan Xiu's ears. He could tell that it was the voice of God Xiaoyao. It was also at this moment that Tan Xiu realized that he was possessing the body of God Xiaoyao and was looking at everything in the world from the perspective of God Xiaoyao. God Xiaoyao, there are no rules and regulations. If it weren't for us 12 Supremes spending a lot of time and energy to establish the order of the divine realm, the divine realm would have been in a state of war. How could it be as prosperous as it is today? God Xiaoyao, we recognize your strength. We can invite you to become the 13th Supremes, but you have to follow our rules. Turning around, a black-faced monk and a white-haired Taoist priest surrounded him from another direction. The two of them looked at God Xiaoyao with fear. Other than the dragon-like bearded big man, the black-faced monk, and the white-haired Taoist priest, there were 4 other people who were also staring at God Xiaoyao. Your rules? Ha, I've been deceived by you for nearly 1,000,000 years. If I hadn't accidentally discovered the truth of the destruction of the ancestral star, I might have continued to be deceived by you. God Xiaoyao sneered disdainfully. Soon, God Xiaoyao's voice came to an abrupt halt. The moment he spoke, the 7 Supremes had finished setting up the formation and launched an attack at him at the same time. Go to hell. We've been talking to you for half a day. Do you really think we're willing to shake hands and make peace with you? The dragon-like bearded big man sneered and swung his giant axe at God Xiaoyao. God Xiaoyao, don't blame us for being overbearing. Blame yourself for being too smart. Smart people always come to a bad end. God Xiaoyao, I've never admired anyone in my life, but I admire you from the bottom of my heart. It's just that the world you want to build has violated all of our interests, so you can only die. Don't be our enemy in your next life. The 7 ultimate gods had planned for thousands of years before refining a divine weapon to target God Xiaoyao. They then put on a show for decades to lure God Xiaoyao into their trap. Seeing that God Xiaoyao was about to be successfully killed by them, they were secretly relieved and looked at God Xiaoyao with sympathy and pity. After putting on a show for decades, I thought I could earn the lives of 12 ultimate gods. In the end, I only earned the lives of 7 ultimate gods. It's a big loss. Those 5 demons can only be taken care of by future generations. A sigh suddenly came out of God Xiaoyao's mouth. Then, a blazing aura erupted from God Xiaoyao's body. The poor 7 ultimate gods were relaxed after their success and did not expect God Xiaoyao to still have the ability to move. They did not expect God Xiaoyao to choose to perish together with them. With a loud bang, all 8 ultimate gods, including God Xiaoyao, were turned into dust. 2 lines of tears involuntarily rolled down Tan Xiu's cheeks. A sad emotion also surged from Tan Xiu's heart. After the scene fell into endless darkness, countless information poured into Tan Xiu's mind. Chapter 1397. Earth is the real divine realm, and the current divine realm is just a new world created by the 12 ultimate gods by completely simulating Earth's environment? When Tang Xiu completely digested the information from the golden ball, he couldn't help but be stunned, because this information was too unbelievable. From the golden ball, not only did Tan Xiu obtain the inheritance of God freedom, but he also learned the origin of the divine realm and the truth of how the 12 ultimate gods deceived everyone and enslaved the gods. The 12 ultimate gods were not the most powerful in the divine realm, nor were they the first to become ultimate gods. However, they discovered the source of the divine realm, God Source City. The source of God, also known as the divine realm's origin energy, was the key and foundation for a divine emperor to become an ultimate god. It could be said to be the most precious and expensive resource in the divine realm. After discovering the city of God Source, the 12 ultimate gods became greedy and killed dozens of other emperor gods and divine emperors in the adventurer team without hesitation. If it were not for the fact that the 12 ultimate gods were evenly matched in strength and were wary of each other's strength, fearing that they would lose their lives if they fought, and that there was too much origin energy in the city of God Source that could completely satisfy the needs of the 12 of them, they would have fought immediately. After occupying the city of God Source, the 12 ultimate gods were afraid that other ultimate gods would come to snatch the source of God, so they launched an unprecedented war without hesitation. Using the source of God as bait, most of the emperor gods and divine emperors were used by the 12 ultimate gods. No matter how powerful the other ultimate gods were, they were outnumbered and fell in the hands of the 12 ultimate gods. Not only did they die, but their godheads and inheritance were also taken away. That unprecedented war was also known as the Battle of Extinction, and the entire divine realm was almost destroyed. Every time the 12 ultimate gods went on an expedition, they would always come up with a high-sounding reason to stand on the moral high ground of public opinion. Therefore, their actions did not cause too many people to resent them. After the war, to prevent the possibility of the city of God Source being discovered, the 12 ultimate gods announced to the divine realm that they were willing to donate all their resources to build a new divine realm. At the same time, they started collecting donations from all the gods. As the source of God was completely isolated by the 12 ultimate gods, after discovering that the source of God on earth could not meet the needs of cultivation, the 12 ultimate gods' appeal was answered by all the gods. The 12 ultimate gods even received the highest honor and respect. When the new divine realm was built, the 12 ultimate gods realized that they did not consume much resources. Instead, they earned a lot of scarce cultivation resources. In order to completely prevent other gods from going to Earth to discover the city of God Source, the 12 ultimate gods spent tens of thousands of years continuously strengthening the barrier between the new divine realm and the ancestral star divine realm and Earth. They also left behind a way to Earth that only they knew. Due to the Doomsday Battle and the construction of the new divine world, the 12 ultimate gods had not only wiped out all the forces that were stronger than them, but they had also accumulated a deep reputation, allowing them to become the supreme rulers of the divine world. After realizing the benefits of dictatorship and power, the 12 ultimate gods began to unscrupulously plunder all the gods' cultivation resources, cultivation methods, and combat skills, enslaving all the gods. At the same time, they closely monitored the abnormalities in every corner of the divine world. Once they discovered any uncontrollable factors, they would immediately kill the danger in the cradle. Under the enslavement of the 12 ultimate gods, the divine world was no longer a place of freedom and enjoyment. Instead, it became an existence comparable to the 18 levels of hell. It was extremely difficult to improve one's strength, and it was extremely difficult to stay alive. Almost everyone was serving the 12 ultimate gods and the forces they belonged to. It was only when the divine Xiaoyao appeared that the situation changed fundamentally. The Xiaoyao Dao that the divine Xiaoyao cultivated could allow him to have thousands of incarnations, and it was directed at his heart. Moreover, the divine Xiaoyao was a cautious and low-key person. This made the 12 ultimate gods, who had been at ease for too long, unable to discover the existence of the divine Xiaoyao. By the time the 12 ultimate gods discovered the existence of the divine Xiaoyao, they could no longer easily destroy the divine Xiaoyao. Instead, they suffered losses under the hands of the divine Xiaoyao, which greatly damaged their prestige. The 12 ultimate gods were even wary of each other due to the power of the incarnation technique, fearing that the other party was the incarnation of the divine Xiaoyao. It was also because of the incarnation technique that the divine Xiaoyao knew the truth about the Doomsday Battle, which then gave birth to the idea of destroying the 12 ultimate gods. Senior Xiaoyao, don't worry. I will definitely fulfill your last wish. The divine world will not only belong to the 12 ultimate gods, but also to all the true gods. From the massive amount of information in the Golden Ball, Tan Xiu also figured out the origin of the 12 zodiac jade carvings. The 12 zodiac jade carvings were carved by the divine Xiaoyao in the divine world. They not only contain the heavenly way law of the divine world's ancestral planet, Earth, but also the heavenly way law of the entire divine world. These heavenly way law could allow Tan Shio to directly ascend to the ultimate god realm without any bottlenecks if he had sufficient cultivation resources. However, Tan Shio's body was not strong enough to support too much power, so his cultivation realm eventually stopped at the great perfection ancient god realm. The heavenly way law contained in the 12 zodiac jade carvings could naturally allow Tan Shio to reach Earth. After communicating with Supreme Drunken Immortal, Supreme Star Soul, and the others for a moment, Tan Shio's mind turned, and his body was already in another space. Not only was this space rich in divine source energy, but there were also blue skies and white clouds, black soil, and undulating mountains without any vegetation, as well as countless tombstones and ancient tombs. Looking at this scene, which was completely different from the environment on Earth, Tan Shio almost thought that he was still somewhere in the divine world and hadn't returned to Earth. Kid, it's been 30 years, and you still haven't ascended to the immortal world? Your cultivation speed is so slow, when will I be able to return to the divine world? A weak voice suddenly resounded in Tan Shio's mind, instantly attracting Tan Shio's gaze. What entered Tan Shio's eyes was a 300-meter-tall golden rock. Its feet were still chained by 2 thick iron chains, and the raging fire on its body continued to burn. However, after experiencing decades of torture, the golden rock was clearly not as spirited as it was in the past. It no longer raised its head proudly, but fell to the ground, looking at Tan Shio with a gloomy gaze. The cycle of the heavenly way, karma. After seeing the figure of the golden rock, Tan Shio instantly understood why he came to this space. When he met the golden rock in the small space under resting Cemetery Island, the golden rock helped him condense the Buddhist golden body, which made his cultivation of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis improve by leaps and bounds, and his strength rose from the tendon transformation stage to the peak viscera transformation stage. In exchange, Tan Shio released the golden rock when he became the supreme of the immortal world and returned to the peak of the immortal world. Unfortunately, when Tan Shio cultivated to the supreme of the immortal world, although he had the intention to come to Earth to rescue the golden rock, he never found a way to break the barrier between the immortal world and Earth. In the end, the matter was left unsettled. Thinking of this, Tan Shio couldn't help but feel guilty, and looked at the golden rock with eyes full of guilt. Tan Shio didn't care about the 30 years mentioned by the golden rock. Due to the special nature of the space barrier, when Tan Shio ascended to the divine world, he might experience the flow of time. When he returned to Earth from the divine world, he might also experience the flow of time. Therefore, even if Tan Shio returned to the divine world and found that only one day had passed on Earth since he ascended to the immortal world, he wouldn't be surprised. For Tan Shio, it was better to return to Earth earlier than later. Senior Golden Rock, I'm sorry that I came late. I'll help you get rid of the Buddhist fire and the chains on your body. Tan Shio didn't explain too much to the golden rock. Instead, he summoned the long sword he inherited from Hierarch Xiaoyao in Walled Hill Village and fiercely hacked the chains on the golden rock's ankles. As for the Buddhist fire on the golden rock's body, it was even easier to solve. With a thought, Tan Shio poured out the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake's water from his body and extinguished the Buddhist fire that had been burning on the golden rock's body for millions of years. You actually used the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake's water to extinguish the fire? You're too extravagant. The golden rock nearly thought that it was dreaming the moment the Buddhist fire on its body was extinguished. Its eyes widened and it shouted at Tan Shio in disbelief. In the next moment, the golden rock no longer had the time to criticize Tan Shio for being extravagant. It flapped its wings and opened its mouth, spitting out all the water from the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake that had spilled on its wings and on the ground, leaving not even the slightest trace behind. After swallowing the water from the Yin-Yang Divinity Lake, the golden rock's essence, energy, and spirit instantly underwent earth-shaking changes, and its imposing aura also rose steadily. Your cultivation? Aren't you supposed to be a supreme in the immortal world? How did you become an ancient god? Just as the golden rock was about to thank Tan Shio, it inadvertently sensed Tan Shio's strength and couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Senior Golden Rock, perhaps only 30 years have passed on Earth, but I've experienced tens of thousands of years in the immortal world and the divine world. Tan Xiu only knew that the Golden Rock's master was a divine lord who once possessed the heavenly art of cosmic genesis and was a mortal enemy of Buddhism. He knew nothing else about the Golden Rock, so he naturally didn't want to reveal everything to the Golden Rock. Instead, he explained with a smile on his face. I have to apologize to Senior Golden Rock here. After I became a supreme in the immortal world, I couldn't find a way to break the barrier between the immortal world and Earth, so I couldn't come back in time to save you. Please forgive me. I paid a great price to be able to return to Earth from the divine world. A mighty figure from the divine world reluctantly agreed to help send me back. The reason why Tan Xiu patiently explained to the Golden Rock was not because he was afraid that the Golden Rock would harm him, but because the Golden Rock's former master once possessed the heavenly art of cosmic genesis. Tan Xiu felt that with the Golden Rock's help, he would be able to cultivate the heavenly art of cosmic genesis faster. This made Tan Xiu want to recruit the Golden Rock. Good. After staring at Tan Xiu for a long time, the Golden Rock burst into laughter. You're affectionate and righteous, and you have a beginning and an end. You're blessed, and your cultivation aptitude is also considered a genius among geniuses. Kid, how about we make another deal? You help my master avenge his death, and I'll accompany you to conquer the divine world. Chapter 1398. Tan Xiu could not help but blush when he heard the Golden Rock's words. At the same time, he sincerely admired the Golden Rock. Compared to him, the Golden Rock was the one who was truly affectionate and righteous. Even after hundreds of thousands of years, the first thing he thought of after regaining his freedom was to avenge his master. However, Tan Xiu did not easily agree to the Golden Rock's conditions. From the inheritance of the God of Freedom, Tan Xiu learned that divine beings valued karma the most during their cultivation. The stronger the karma of a divine being, the harder the cultivation path would be. Many times, a single karma would cause one to go berserk and fail to advance. Senior Golden Rock, have you ever wondered who locked you up here? Tan Xiu asked slowly under the Golden Rock's expectant gaze. Although my memory was erased, I clearly remember that the person who locked me up here was the Buddhist disciple from another world. Not only did he kill my master, but he also locked me up in the land of divine source and tortured me for hundreds of thousands of years, said the Golden Rock while gritting his teeth. I remember you once told me that holy monk Amitabha was chased to death by your master because he wanted to obtain the heavenly art of cosmic genesis from your master. Did your master tell you that hundreds of millions of Buddhist disciples were obliterated during the millions of years he chased after holy monk Amitabha? Tan Xiu asked softly after combining the information he knew. However, Tan Xiu's heart was filled with doubts when he said that. He clearly remembered the Golden Rock once said that his master was a peak expert in the divine realm with a great perfection ultimate god cultivation. However, as far as Tan Xiu knew, the divine realm was controlled by the 12 ultimate gods. The 12 ultimate gods would never allow an expert beyond their control to appear in the divine realm. Moreover, if that Buddhist disciple really had the ability to kill a great perfection ultimate god cultivation expert, why would he need to hide everywhere and hide the Buddha tomb on earth? Finally, the Buddhist disciple's actions of locking up and torturing the Golden Rock were understandable, but why did he want to erase the Golden Rock's memories? This was completely illogical. A terrible truth emerged in Tan Xiu's mind. Tan Xiu glanced at the Golden Rock. He did not have the heart to voice out his speculation. You said that my master killed hundreds of millions of Buddhist disciples? How is that possible? My master is the leader of the 12 ultimate gods and is highly respected in the entire divine realm. Not only did he unite the other 11 ultimate gods to unify the ancestral star divine realm, but he also promoted the construction of the new divine realm. If it wasn't for him, there would be no divine realm today. Before Tan Xiu could finish his sentence, the Golden Rock roared in agitation. The roar of the Golden Rock completely confirmed Tan Xiu's guess, and he could not help but fall silent. Kid, don't be biased. I've followed my master for millions of years. If he was really that evil, I would have left him a long time ago. How about it? You should consider the deal between us. Although my current strength is not even 1/10,000th of my peak, I can quickly restore my ultimate god cultivation as long as I have enough cultivation resources. The golden rock defended his master for a long time before speaking to Tan Xiu again. Senior Golden Peng, if I were to tell you that your master isn't dead and the one who imprisoned you wasn't that Buddhist disciple, but your master, the holy demon, would you still want me to avenge your master, the holy demon? After being silent for a long while, Tang Xiu still couldn't bear to continue hiding it from the Golden Peng. That was because Tan Xiu knew that once the golden rock left, the fact that the holy demon was still alive could not be kept a secret. However, with the golden rock's character, he would definitely argue with the holy demon once he knew the truth. It was just that the holy demon was reluctant to kill the golden rock back then. Would the holy demon still care about the past after hundreds of thousands of years had passed? What? You're saying that my master, the holy demon, is not dead? It's not that Buddhist disciple who imprisoned me, but my master? How is that possible? The fact that I know the holy demon's name is enough to prove a lot of things. If that Buddhist disciple killed your master, there's no reason for him not to kill you but to erase part of your memory because there's no need for a Buddhist disciple to erase your memory at all. Furthermore, the holy demon is not as great as you think he is. Everything he does is for his own selfish ends. Since he had decided to tell the truth, Tan Xiu naturally would not hide it anymore. He combined what the drunken immortal supreme said and the information from the god of freedom's inheritance to tell everything he knew about the holy demon. At first, the golden rock was very excited and wanted to interrupt Tan Xiu's narration, but Tan Xiu did not give the golden rock a chance to interrupt. Slowly, the golden rock's expression changed and finally fell into silence. In fact, after hundreds of thousands of years, the erased memories in the golden rock's mind had almost been restored, and the tampered memories had also become blurred. However, the golden rock still could not believe the memories in his mind that did not conform to his understanding. He felt that the reason why those messy memories emerged in his mind must have been because he had injured his brain in the war hundreds of thousands of years ago, or that Buddhist disciple had deliberately used the supreme god to force a memory into his mind, making him feel disgusted with his master and diluting his desire to avenge his master. So I've been deceived for millions of years? The golden rock was simple, but he was not stupid. After he verified the memories in his mind with what Tan Xiu had said, he understood that what Tan Xiu said was all true. Moreover, he and Tan Xiu had met by chance, so Tan Xiu had no reason to deceive him. Most importantly, whether Tan Xiu's words were true or false, he would know once he reached the God realm, so he did not think that Tan Xiu was deceiving him. Large drops of golden tears fell from the golden rock's eyes. The golden rock spirit, which had just been rejuvenated, instantly withered. Even the golden rock's life aura was weakening bit by bit. When the holy demon had just ascended to become a god, the golden rock had gotten to know the holy demon and signed a master-servant contract with the holy demon. After that, the golden rock had accompanied the holy demon in conquering the god realm for millions of years and had saved the holy demon from danger countless times. However, millions of years later, someone had told him that the holy demon was not the holy demon he knew, but a great demon who would do anything for his own benefit. This made the golden rock feel like he had been fooled. Senior, you can't die if you want to avenge the annihilation of your clan. Seeing that the golden rock was about to commit suicide in front of him, Tan Xiu could not help but panic. Suddenly, an idea flashed in his mind and he yelled. The annihilation of the Golden Rock clan was not the doing of the demon race's mighty figures, but a meticulously planned scheme by the holy demon. The Golden Rock clan perished because of you, but you want to die just like that? You will not let the Golden Rock clan rest in peace in the netherworld. Tan Xiu's words struck the Golden Rock like a bolt of lightning, causing his body to tremble. He glared at Tan Xiu and asked sternly, "Child, do you dare to take responsibility for what you said just now?" "Senior, there's no need for me to joke about such matters. Moreover, there are many things that can't be wrapped up in paper. I'm sure Senior has already guessed whether what I said just now was true or not, right?" Tan Xiu stared at the Golden Rock for a moment and said sincerely, "Child, as long as you make a heavenly Tao oath to help me avenge the annihilation of my clan in your lifetime, I will sign a master-servant contract with you and accompany you to conquer the divine realm. How about that? I can sense the aura of the unfettered god from your body, which means that you are destined to go against the holy demon. Since our goals are the same, and I'm far more familiar with the holy demon and the divine realm than you are, I believe you won't reject my request, right? After looking at Tan Xiao for a moment, a determined look flashed in the golden rock's eyes. When the golden rock chose to believe the erased memories in his mind, many things that he could not figure out before were instantly answered. The huge potential that Tan Xiao displayed and the qualities that Tan Xiao displayed made the golden rock choose to trust and ally with him without hesitation. Tan Xiao could not help but be overjoyed when he heard the golden rock's words. Tan Xiao originally thought that if he did not agree to the golden rock's request to kill the Buddhist disciple, there would be no hope between him and the golden rock. He did not expect that there would be a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. The golden rock finally wanted to sign a master-servant contract with him. Afraid that the golden rock would go back on his word if he agreed too slowly, Tan Xiao did not hesitate to make a heavenly Tao oath in front of the golden rock. Under Tan Xiao's expectant gaze, the golden rock handed Tan Xiao a drop of blood essence from his heart. Tan Xiao carefully took the blood essence from the golden rock and refined it bit by bit according to the golden rock's instructions. It took Tan Xiao 6 hours to completely refine the golden rock's blood essence. At the same time, he felt that he had established a faint connection with the golden rock. Tan Xiao even had a feeling that he could kill the golden rock with just a thought. After the contract was successfully signed, the golden rock no longer called Tan Xiao a kid. Instead, it bowed and asked Tan Xiao, "Master, do you plan to return to the divine realm immediately or continue the karma on earth?" Tan Xiao was not used to the golden rock's change in attitude. It took him a while to adapt to the change in identity. "Golden rock, the main reason I came to earth this time is to save you. Also, I want to find the city of God Source to improve my strength. I wonder if you know where the city of God Source is hiding?" "The city of God Source? Master, the city of God Source is in the Ghost King Valley of the Shenong Ridge. However, the defense there is too tight. During the Battle of Extinction, the 12 ultimate gods led by the Holy Demon killed nearly 100 ultimate gods. They refined all the ultimate gods into puppets and placed them around the city of God Source. These ultimate god puppets don't usually move around, but they will kill anyone who comes within 100 feet of the city of God Source," said the golden rock softly after hesitating for a moment. "Nearly 100 ultimate god puppets?" Tan Xiao's expression changed drastically when he heard the golden rock's words. He originally thought that no one could stop him from taking over the city of God Source as long as he could find the city of God Source with his cultivation base after arriving on Earth. However, it seemed like he could only lament his inadequacy even if he found the city of God Source. "Master, although you can't get the city of God Source, no one else can either. The 12 ultimate gods set up nearly 100 ultimate god puppets to guard the city of God Source to prevent other ultimate gods from having any ideas about the city of God Source. At the same time, the 12 ultimate gods are also wary of each other. If the 12 ultimate gods want to enter the city of God Source, all 12 ultimate gods must open the barrier between the divine realm and Earth at the same time. However, you just said that 7 of the 12 ultimate gods have fallen. The remaining 5 ultimate gods will never have the chance to come to Earth." Tan Xiao could not help but be stunned when he heard the golden rock's words. At the same time, he did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Golden rock, since the city of God Source is not fated with us for the time being, I'll go and settle some of my ties with the mortal world. I wonder if you want to come with me or return to the divine realm first." Tan Xiao did not give up on the city of God Source. He faintly felt that ultimate god Xiaoyao must have a way to deal with the nearly 100 ultimate god puppets. It was just that he had not discovered it yet. "Master, it's not suitable for me to appear in front of mortals. Also, with your cultivation base, you won't be in any danger as long as you don't go to the city of God Source. I'd better return to the divine realm to recover my strength first. Otherwise, I won't be able to help you when you need my help." When the golden rock heard that Tan Xiao planned to stay on Earth, he chose to return to the divine realm first without hesitation. The golden rock returned to the divine realm to recover his strength, while Tan Xiao wanted to settle his ties with the mortal world. A little spoiler. The great Tang Empire on Earth, led by Long Zhengyu, was facing a crisis of extinction. Chapter 1399. Qilian Mountain Range, Qinghai Province. An old lady dressed in linen clothes and a headscarf was lying on a bamboo chair in a thatched hut. As she waved her hands, streams of air twisted in the air and finally condensed into a colorful handkerchief. Suddenly, a round of applause came from the door. The old lady's body trembled and her hands stopped moving. "Fellow Taoist Tang, didn't you ascend to the world of immortals? How did you come down?" The old lady put down the handkerchief after seeing who was standing at the door. "Don't tell me you failed your tribulation again and luckily returned to earth with a wisp of your soul." Cough. Tan Xiu was about to greet the old lady with a smile, but his handsome face turned red when he heard what the old lady said. At the same time, he coughed violently. Looking at the old lady's mischievous expression, Tan Xiu knew that she did it on purpose. "I've let fellow Taoist see me make a fool of myself. I came to visit fellow Taoist on purpose, as well as to repay your kindness in taking in the 9th maid." Tang Xiu cupped his hands to greet the old woman. Tan Xiu respected the old lady from the bottom of his heart. Compared to the rulers of Huaxia, the old lady was the one who protected Huaxia wholeheartedly. For almost 1,000 years, the old lady never left this piece of land and quietly helped Huaxia solve many crises of extermination. At the same time, she also deterred other countries and forces from coveting Huaxia. "You're too kind, fellow Taoist Tang. It's fate that brought me together with Zhong Ling and the other girls. They also solved many of my doubts in cultivation. If we're talking about gratitude, I should be the one thanking you, fellow Taoist Tang." The old lady did not show any special emotion and replied calmly. Tang Xiu couldn't help but stare blankly. When he ascended to the immortal world in the past, didn't this old woman ask him to take her along with him? How come she was so indifferent to the temptation of ascending to the immortal world after a few decades? Very soon, Tan Xiu found out what was going on. He didn't know what kind of calamity the old woman had gone through, but she didn't have much lifespan left, and her vitality was completely drained. "Fellow Taoist, could it be that after I ascended to the immortal world, another extraordinary figure appeared on Earth?" After figuring out the severe injuries on the old lady, Tan Xiu could not help but ask curiously. "Fellow Taoist Tang, this old lady is already a person with 1 foot in the grave. Please don't make fun of this old lady anymore. More than 10 years ago, Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjin successfully crossed the heavenly tribulation and ascended to immortality. This old lady thought that the difficulty of the heavenly tribulation had decreased, but in the end, this old lady almost died when she crossed the heavenly tribulation 2 years ago." The old lady glared at Tan Xiu as sparks flew from her words. Tan Xiu couldn't help but reveal an awkward expression when he heard the old lady's words. "I'm really sorry. Back then, I ascended to the immortal world because I was in a hurry to take revenge. I was afraid that you would be tainted by the heavenly Tao if we ascended together, so I had no choice but to reject you. In order to express my apology, please accept this small token of my appreciation." As Tan Xiu spoke, he pointed a finger at the old lady in the void. Facing Tan Xiu's finger, the old lady felt as though she was frozen in place and couldn't move at all. Rays of green light gushed out from Tan Xiu's finger and quickly entered the old lady's body. As the green light surged into the old lady's body, her injuries were almost instantly healed. Her vitality was also increasing rapidly. In the end, the old lady's appearance became younger at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, Tan Xiu retracted his finger. Fine beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. This was because Tan Xiu had just forcefully extracted the vitality of the heaven and earth tree in his body for the old lady to use. He felt that this moving old lady was worthy of him doing this. This old lady is unable to repay fellow Taoist Tang's great kindness. If fellow Taoist Tang doesn't mind, this old lady is willing to do anything for fellow Taoist Tang. Feeling the earth-shattering changes in her body, the old lady was shocked by Tan Xiu's remarkable power. At the same time, she was extremely touched. Fellow Taoist Li, you've cultivated on Earth for thousands of years. Have you noticed anything strange on Earth? For example, many things that originally belonged to the immortal world and the God world inexplicably appeared on Earth. Tan Xiao smiled at the old lady, indicating that she did not need to pay too much attention to it. After the old lady calmed down, he asked softly. Now that fellow Taoist Tang mentioned it, this old lady really did notice a lot of abnormalities. Even though this old lady's strength can be considered as the #1 person on Earth, there are many things that this old lady can't see through at all. I don't dare to get close to it. The old lady did not know what Tan Xiao was trying to say. If I told you that Earth wasn't originally like this and was once the God world, but because of an unprecedented war, it became what it is today, would you believe me? Tan Xiao stared at the old lady and said word by word. What? How is that possible? The old lady was stunned when she heard this and immediately retorted subconsciously. However, she slowly fell into contemplation. After a long while, she said in silence, if Earth really used to be the God world, then this old lady's encounter in the Ghost King Valley in the Divine Dragon Ridge can be explained. Fellow Taoist Li, I have a presumptuous request. If it's convenient for fellow Taoist Li, I would like to ask fellow Taoist Li to stay on Earth for a period of time to help me investigate all the abnormal places on Earth. As long as fellow Taoist Li can provide me with valuable information, I will definitely give fellow Taoist Li a generous reward. Tan Xiao's eyes lit up when he heard that the old lady also knew about the Ghost King Valley. Fellow Taoist Tang, this old lady has cultivated on Earth for thousands of years and has developed a deep affection for this land. After failing to cross the tribulation last time, I no longer have the thought of ascending to the immortal world. Now that this life of mine has been saved by fellow Taoist Tang, since fellow Taoist Tang has a use for this old lady will naturally do her best. As for the reward, fellow Taoist Tang doesn't need to mention it. The old lady laughed heartily. After getting the promise of the old lady, Tan Xiao subconsciously heaved a sigh of relief. Star City, Old River Street, Shanty Town, Su family's restaurant. Although the sky was just beginning to brighten, there was a long queue outside the restaurant, waiting for it to open. After a few decades of development, Star City had changed with each passing day. The Old River Street had already been reconstructed, and only the Shanty Town and the Su family's restaurant had been preserved. Only the outer walls had been renovated and renovated, turning it into a unique scenic spot in Star City. Do you guys think that Qing Yannan will come to Teacher Xia's 60th birthday? She was Teacher Xia's favorite student in the past. I heard that Su Xiangfei invited Qing Yannan, but it's hard to say whether Qing Yannan will come to the banquet. After all, the Great Tang Empire is a big place, and unexpected events can happen at any time. I saw Qing Yannan at the National Press Conference yesterday. She looked like a girl in her 20s, and there were no traces of aging on her face. She didn't look like a person in her 40s at all. She looked like a fairy. In the long queue, everyone was whispering to each other, and the focus of the topic was Qing Yannan. Although Qing Yannan had awakened her special ability, her cultivation talent was ordinary and she couldn't keep up with the cultivation speed of the Tang sect. Although Tan Xiao was willing to take her along when he ascended to the immortal world, Qing Yannan tactfully refused. The reason for Qing Yannan's refusal was very simple. The magnificent Tang Corporation's business was too big, and Long Zhengyu might not be able to handle it. Besides, she couldn't help much after ascending to the immortal world, but she could take good care of the magnificent Tang Corporation if she stayed on Earth, so that Tan Xiao wouldn't have any worries. Tan Xiao and Qing Xuemei tried to persuade Qing Yannan several times, but to no avail. At the same time, he handed over almost all of the magnificent Tang Corporation to Qing Yannan. As for Long Zhengyu, he was responsible for the management of Nine Dragons Island and other industries, and spent more time and energy on cultivation. Southgate Town, Building Number 9. Before Tan Xiao left Earth, he handed over his house in Southgate Town to Qing Yannan. Qing Yannan didn't make any changes to the house and moved in. Chief Cheng, Mr. Xia Mingjia's birthday banquet will officially start at 12:10 noon. Do you want to go there now or wait until the banquet officially starts? The tall and beautiful secretary, Dai Mi asked softly while helping Qing Yannian comb her hair. Show me the list of all the members attending the birthday banquet. Qing Yannian didn't answer Dai Mi but ordered. Dai Mi stared blankly for a moment. Then, she immediately turned around and walked into the living room. She took an iPad developed by the Magnificent Tang Corporation and came in. Her wrist gently swiped and a list updated 3 minutes ago was presented in front of Qing Yannian. The first name that appeared in front of Qing Yannian was impressively Xia Mingjie, followed by Wei Zhentai and the other school leaders, as well as the teachers of Xingqing No. 1 High School, and finally, the students that Xia Mingjie had taught in the past decades. There were about 300 people on the list, but Qing Yannian only knew a few dozen students from Class 10, as well as the school leaders and several teachers. Seeing the names of Wei Zhentai, Hu Qiuxing and Yang Jian on the list, Qing Yannian subconsciously frowned. It must be known that Tan Xiu was almost driven out of Xingqing No. 1 High School by these people in the past. If it weren't for the teacher in charge of Class 10, Han Qingwu's strong support, as well as the sudden rise of Tan Xiu's exam results, Qing Yannian didn't know whether she would have the opportunity to know Tan Xiu and form an unforgettable relationship with him. Qing Yannian really wanted to call Su Xiangfei and ask him to remove the names of Wei Zhentai, Hu Qiuxing and Yang Jian. But after hesitating for a moment, she dispelled the idea. Decades had passed, so why should she still care about those trivial matters of the past? Xiu, decades have passed. How are you doing in the immortal world? Qing Yannian repeatedly refreshed the list twice, but still couldn't find the name she wanted to see. Her face couldn't help but reveal a sad but beautiful smile. Xiu, if you give me another chance to choose, I will accompany you to the blue sky and fight in the immortal world. Xiu, it's not that I didn't want to ascend to the immortal world with you, but there were too many devastatingly beautiful women around you. I couldn't find a sense of existence by your side at all. 2 lines of clear tears fell silently. On Qing Yannian's mature and gorgeous face, there was a faint sadness hidden in her beautiful eyes that could capture people's souls. Chapter 1400. At 7 a.m., Su Xiangfei sleepily walked to the front of the Su family's restaurant. When he saw the dense crowd in front of the restaurant, he thought that he was still asleep and couldn't help but rub his eyes. Su Xiangfei, didn't teacher Xia repeatedly tell you to open the door earlier last night? Why are you still so late? As Su Xiangfei slowly moved toward the direction of the restaurant, a thunderous voice sounded in Su Xiangfei's ears. Upon hearing this voice, Su Xiangfei's body trembled and he subconsciously trotted. The one who spoke was the guard of Xingqing No. 1 High School, Zhang Jingdong. He was a retired soldier and a very kind old man who was very liked by the teachers and students of one middle school. However, this old man was meticulous and had strong principles, which made many people sincerely respect him, especially some mischievous students who were in awe of Zhang Jingdong from the bottom of their hearts. Uncle Zhang, our restaurant usually opens at 9 a.m. I came early enough today, but I didn't expect that you would come earlier than me. Su Xiangfei spoke as he quickly opened the door. Zhang Jingdong dared to yell at Su Xiangfei, but the others standing at the entrance of the restaurant didn't dare. They greeted Su Xiangfei with respect and flattery in their tone. It must be known that the Magnificent Tang Corporation had become one of the top 10 multinational corporations in the world. On the surface, the Su family's restaurant had nothing to do with the Magnificent Tang Corporation. In fact, everyone knew that the Su family's restaurant was founded by Su Lingyun, and Su Xiangfei was her nephew. With the relationship between Su Xiangfei and the Magnificent Tang Corporation, it was impossible for the Su family's restaurant to not be popular. Perhaps the lesson given by Tan Xiu was too profound. Ever since Su Xiangfei took over the Su family's restaurant, he seemed to have been reborn. Not only was he not as arrogant and domineering as before, but he had also become mature and steady, smooth and slick, and had a good relationship with his circle of friends. After enthusiastically welcoming everyone into the restaurant, Su Xiangfei immediately got busy. It was Xia Mingjie's 60th birthday. His son, Xia Tao, was a classmate of Su Xiangfei. He wanted to help his father hold a grand birthday banquet, so he looked for Su Xiangfei. When Su Xiangfei heard that it was his master, Xia Mingjie's birthday, He patted his chest and said that he would take care of it. Then, after asking for the opinions of Xia Mingjie and Xia Tao, he simply informed all the classmates of Class 10 to attend the banquet. It would be a party after the 35th anniversary of graduation. On Xia Mingjie's birthday, the restaurant would not be open to the public. It would only receive the guests attending the birthday banquet as well as the teachers and classmates of Xingqing No. 1 High School. All the expenses would be paid by Su Xiangfei. Because of Su Xiangfei's great achievements in the past decades, as well as the reputation of the Su family's restaurant in Xingqing No. 1 High School, almost none of the students of Class 10 refused to attend. As for Xia Mingjie's guests, after they heard that the birthday banquet would be held in the Su family's restaurant, they rushed to the hotel early in the morning. It took nearly 2 hours for Su Xiangfei and Xia Tao to arrange all the guests. At this time, both of them were sweating profusely. Xia Tao looked at Su Xiangfei with eyes brimming with gratitude. Xiangfei, I can't thank you enough. If you need my help in the future, please don't hesitate to call me. Xia Tao obviously didn't expect that the scale of the birthday banquet would be so big. If it wasn't for Su Xiangfei, who had been patiently coordinating and dealing with all kinds of emergencies, it was estimated that he would have collapsed. Taozi, you're treating me like an outsider. Your task today is to take good care of Teacher Xia. Leave everything else to me. Su Xiangfei wiped the sweat from his forehead and said in a clear voice. Xiangfei, I see that you're looking at the direction of the door from time to time. Are you waiting for Qing Yannan? Seeing Su Xiangfei's absent-minded appearance, Xia Tao asked. Yes, Chief Cheng arrived in Star City last night. Calculating the time, she should be arriving soon. Su Xiangfei frowned. He couldn't help but directly walk out of the restaurant. Soon, Su Xiangfei's eyes lit up because he saw Qing Yannan's car. He also saw Qing Yannan and her personal assistant, Dai Mi's figure. Just as Su Xiangfei ran 2 steps and was ready to greet Qing Yannan. In the next moment, Su Xiangfei staggered and almost fell to the ground. Because Su Xiangfei was surprised to find that Qing Yannan, who usually had the image of an iceberg CEO, was as shy as a little girl at this time. She didn't hesitate to throw herself into the arms of another person. Moreover, she was crying like a tearful person. She constantly beat the other's chest while sobbing and saying something. Cousin, cousin. When Su Xiangfei clearly saw the man's face, his expression was as though he had seen a ghost. After a long time, he finally greeted him while stuttering. Xiangfei, you did a good job. I was worried that you would destroy the Su family's restaurant. Seeing Su Xiangfei looking at him with a timid face, Tan Xiu smiled and kindly greeted him. Cousin, it's really... I thought I was hallucinating. I haven't seen you for decades, but you still look the same as before. You haven't changed at all. Seeing that Tang Xiu didn't loathe him, Su Xiangfei's heart that was hanging in suspense was finally relieved as a happy smile appeared on his face. There are too many people in the restaurant, and Yannan can't meet people like this. We won't go in. If you need anything, you can call Yannan. Seeing a few people in the restaurant shouting Su Xiangfei's name and coming out, Tan Xiu stuffed 2 red envelopes to Su Xiangfei, and then hugged Qing Yannan and got into the car. When Su Shangwen, Zhang Meiyun, and Xia Tao walked to the door of the restaurant, they only saw the backs of Tan Xiu and Qing Yannan. Fei, is that Qing Yannan? She came, why didn't she go in and sit for a while? Zhang Meiyun stared at the Mercedes-Benz commercial car for a moment and asked with uncertainty. Well, it's cousin and Qing Yannan. There are too many people in the restaurant, and it's not convenient for them to show up, so they left after giving me the gift. Su Xiangfei absent-mindedly handed the red envelope to Xia Tao and whispered. Didn't Qing Yannan specially come to attend Teacher Xia's birthday banquet? Why is it inconvenient? Su Shangwen subconsciously asked, but after saying this sentence, he suddenly came back to his senses. Who did you say came with Qing Yannan? Qing Yannan's cousin? Not Qing Yannan's cousin, it's my cousin, your nephew, Tan Xiu. Su Xiangfei looked at his father's bewildered expression and patiently explained. That's him? Didn't Tan Xiu already go to heaven? Why did he come back? He's back, why didn't he come over to greet us? After the speculation in his heart was confirmed, Su Shangwen's heart was set off a storm, and his face was filled with a look of disbelief. Although other people didn't know where the Tang family of the imperial capital led by Tan Xiu went, some people who were close to Tan Xiu knew that Tan Xiu was not an ordinary person, but a successful cultivator. They collectively ascended to the immortal world decades ago. Su Shangwen originally thought that after Tan Xiu and the others ascended, they would never be able to return to Earth. This was also the reason why he didn't guess that Tan Xiu was Tan Xiu, even though he felt that the figure of Tan Xiu was familiar. Dad, cousin is not the same kind of person as us. His purpose of coming here is probably to see if the Su family restaurant is still there, and at the same time, he wants to take Qing Yannan to that place. Thinking of Tan Xiu's elegant temperament, Su Xiangfei felt discouraged. Although Tan Xiu had taught Su Xiangfei the cultivation method, so that Su Xiangfei's skills were extraordinary and far beyond ordinary people, but because Tan Xiu didn't give Su Xiangfei cultivation resources, it was destined that Su Xiangfei would never be able to open the door to the immortal world without a special opportunity. Tan Xiu actually came here. My dad must be very happy to hear that. Xia Tao spent a long time before he could understand what Su Shangwen and Su Xiangfei were talking about. After he saw the blessings on the 2 red envelopes, his face was filled with excitement as he took the red envelopes and ran towards the restaurant's lobby. Back then, our family offended Su Lingyun and Tang Xiu too much. Yet, they disregarded our former enmity and rescued us from prison. They even gave us the restaurant and gave us a life of wealth and glory. What else can we not be satisfied with? Xiu doesn't want to see us. He must still have a knot in his heart. We should run the restaurant well and take good care of our relatives in the Su family village. I think Xiu will forgive us one day. Thinking of the past, Zhang Meiyun also blushed. Zhang Meiyun was right. Although Su Lingyun was kind-hearted and had long forgiven Su Shangwen's family and got along well with Su Shangwen's family, Tan Xiu couldn't do it. This was also the reason why Tan Xiu immediately avoided Su Shangwen and Zhang Meiyun when he saw them. In fact, Tan Xiu had been in the restaurant for half a day. The bustling scene in the restaurant early in the morning startled him. After figuring out what was going on, he wanted to go to the restaurant and greet his former teachers and classmates. However, Tan Xiu eventually dispelled this idea in his heart. After all, he didn't belong to this world anymore. There was no need for him to get involved with the karma of the heavens. As long as his teachers and classmates were happy, he didn't need to disturb their peaceful lives. As for being discovered by Qing Yannan, it was completely by chance. Tan Xiu was standing in a very hidden position and had cast a camouflage spell. It was absolutely impossible for ordinary people to discover his existence. However, Qing Yannan was not an ordinary person. Not only did she awaken her special ability, but she also trained in 9 Dragons Island. All these years, Long Zhengyu had spared no effort to support Qing Yannan in terms of cultivation resources, so much so that Qing Yannan had already become an immortal cultivator at the early stage of crossing tribulation. Others might not be able to discover this anomaly, but Qing Yannan could easily find it. When Tan Xiu found that Qing Yannan was looking at him with a burning gaze and couldn't hide the longing expression on her face, he wanted to avoid it. But in the end, he didn't and let Qing Yannan throw herself into his arms. Tan Xiu, you're not allowed to leave me alone this time. No matter where you go, I'll follow you. I've made sufficient preparations all these years. Sujinin has been trained by me. She can definitely take over the management of the magnificent Tang Corporation. After getting into the car, Qing Yannan couldn't wait to express her feelings to Tan Xiu. Tang Xiu's heart was filled with warmth as he felt the burning hot feelings of the beautiful woman in his arms. He didn't say anything, but gently lowered his head and kissed the beautiful woman's tender lips. Chapter 1401. After a few moments of affection, Tang Xiu was escorted by Qing Yannan to the plane to Shanghai. As a matter of fact, Tan Xiu had always been aware of the special feelings Qing Yannan had for him, and he also appreciated and liked Qing Yannan from the bottom of his heart. Previously, he was busy returning to the immortal world to take revenge and was obsessed with cultivation, so Tan Xiu never took the initiative to pursue a girl, so he brushed past the reserved Qing Yannan. Now that the pressure of the blood feud was gone, and the beauty took the initiative to embrace him, Tan Xiu naturally couldn't bear to refuse the beauty's good intentions. After getting a response from Tan Xiu, Qing Yannan was ecstatic. She couldn't wait to pester Tan Xiu every day, but she knew that Tan Xiu was telling the truth. If the feelings between the two could last for a long time, how could they stay together day and night? Tan Xiu wouldn't stay on Earth for a long time, so she must deal with all the matters of the magnificent Tang Corporation before Tan Xiu left Earth. Only then could she leave with Tan Xiu with peace of mind. After watching Qing Yannan's flight take off, Tan Xiu turned around and left. After looking for a remote place where no one would pay attention to, Tan Xiu's spiritual sense moved and his figure disappeared from the spot. In the next moment, Tan Xiu appeared in a dungeon in Changxi, Laoshan Mountain. In the dark and damp dungeon, a thin figure shivered and curled up in the corner of the dungeon. One could vaguely recognize that it was a man from his attire. The man with unkempt hair and a dirty face was gently sliding a wooden stick on the ground, and the soft and beautiful lines outlined two women, one big and one small. The man murmured softly while painting on the ground. His voice was almost inaudible. "Don't leave me, Ran Ran. Ro, Dad misses you. Ran Ran, don't leave me. Ro, Dad misses you." If it was a normal person, they would only think that the man's mouth was making a series of meaningless sleep-talking sounds, but when these sounds fell into Tan Xiu's ears, it was like rolling thunder, causing his eyes to involuntarily moisten. This disheveled man was the former young master of the Ji family in Changxi, Ji Mu. Tan Xiu didn't have many interactions with Ji Mu, but he had a very good impression of Ji Mu. Scenes of his dealings with Ji Mu emerged in Tan Xiu's mind. That year, he and Qinan participated in Changxi's underground car race and met Ji Mu for the first time. That year, Ji Mu inadvertently witnessed him killing several experts of the Stygian Club and sent him generous gifts and asked for advice. That year, Ji Mu decided to give up his identity as the young master of an aristocratic family, cut off all means of retreat, and wholeheartedly pursued the Tao. He gave the ancestral life-returning wood to Meng Qi, and Meng Qi gave him a fortuitous encounter. That year, Ran Ran proposed to Ji Mu in public, but he refused because he was afraid that it would delay his cultivation. Later on, Meng Qi persuaded him to accept Ran Ran's pursuit. From the beginning to the end, Tan Xiu didn't spend too much time and energy on Ji Mu. He was so busy setting up the Tang Sect's intelligence system that he couldn't even attend Ji Mu's wedding. He only met Ji Mu once before he ascended to the immortal world. The next time he heard news about Ji Mu was from Miao Wendong and Xiao Mingjun in the immortal world. Ji Mu's daughter was harmed by people from the Special Abilities Bureau. Ji Mu was also severely injured by the Special Abilities Bureau. Ran Ran committed suicide after her daughter was harmed, and her husband was seriously injured, so she got some explosives and perished together with the people who injured Ji Mu. Ji Mu then went crazy and disappeared. Long Zhengyu and the others sent people everywhere to search for him, but to no avail. If Tan Xiu hadn't completely mastered the heavenly Tao laws on Earth and formed a lot of heavenly Tao karma with Ji Mu, Tan Xiu would never have imagined that Ji Mu would be imprisoned in his own territory. Seeing Ji Mu's shattered dantian, pierced shoulder blade, and the heavy chains on his feet, Tan Xiu's body suddenly gushed out an astonishing murderous aura. Tan Xiu waved his hand and took Ji Mu into his internal space. Then, he took out a jar of water from the yin-yang divinity lake that was hundreds of times diluted and soaked Ji Mu in it. He also dropped a few drops of the Heavenly Path Universe Tree's essence into the water. "Ji Mu, I said that I would give you a fortune, but it was just to teach you the secret arts of your Ji clan. The fortune I gave you is completely out of proportion to the gift you gave me. Now, I'm going to give you a big fortune." While speaking, Tan Xiu put a finger on Ji Mu's forehead. Not only did he force his understanding of the Ji clan's secret arts into Ji Mu's mind, but he also didn't hesitate to consume his divine power to impart several secret arts of the immortal world to Ji Mu. Ji Mu, who was soaking in the water of the yin-yang divinity lake, uttered a painful howl. His skin cracked inch by inch, and his flesh and blood peeled off bit by bit. In the end, only his skeleton was left. The energy in the water of the yin-yang divinity lake was extremely violent. Even a perfected golden immortal couldn't withstand the impact of the lake water, let alone Ji Mu, who was just a mortal at this time. If it weren't for Tan Xiu using his divine power to keep Ji Mu's soul clear, Ji Mu would have long turned into a skeleton under the impact of the lake water's energy. Under the impact and immersion of the lake water, Ji Mu's heart finally turned from dark red to bright red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ji Mu's heart gradually turned from dark red to bright red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Finally, it faintly emitted a golden light. Ji Mu's skeleton, on the other hand, gradually turned from ash gray to white, then transparent, and finally emitted a metallic luster. What was more remarkable was that Ji Mu's soul flame had become nearly 1,000 times stronger. Ji Mu's soul flame was originally only the size of a needle's eye, but now it had become the size of a baby's fist, vaguely showing the embryonic form of the divine transformation realm. When the lake water in the vat turned transparent bit by bit, flesh and blood regrew on Ji Mu's skeleton that emitted a metallic luster. However, this flesh and blood was full of spiritual qi and infinite vitality. It was a world of difference from the flesh and blood that was washed away by the lake water. When Ji Mu regained consciousness again, it was already 3 days later. The first thing Ji Mu saw when he opened his eyes was Tan Xiu. His lips wriggled a bit, but he didn't know how to address him. Tan Xiu glanced at Ji Mu and said with a complicated look in his eyes, "I already know everything about you. I've given you a good fortune. Take your time to digest it. Tell me your decision after you've digested it." While speaking, Tan Xiu's figure slowly disappeared from the sky, leaving behind a dumbfounded Ji Mu. Soon, Ji Mu had no time to care about anything else. The hereditary memories in his mind came alive like a tide. Ran, I must avenge you and then spend my whole life to save you. Half a month later, when Ji Mu had completely mastered the hereditary memories from Tan Xiu, his heart was filled with lofty ambitions. At the same time, he also felt sorrow and cried bitterly. Upon hearing Ji Mu's words, Tan Xiu's figure once again condensed in the air. He looked at Ji Mu with eyes full of admiration. It only took Ji Mu half a month to completely digest all the Ji clans and Immortal World's supreme arts, and his cultivation had also stabilized at the perfected soul formation stage. Although he had invested quite a lot in Ji Mu's cultivation aptitude and perception did not disappoint Tan Xiu. Master, disciple Ji Mu pays respect to Master. Thank Master for saving my life and giving me a new lease of life. After seeing Tang Xiu's figure, Ji Mu's heart was filled with happiness as he knelt in front of Tang Xiu. Tan Xiu slightly frowned upon seeing this, but he couldn't help but sigh in the end. He didn't refuse Ji Mu's greeting. "Ji Mu, since you've taken me as your master, then I'll accept your karma. Do you want to eradicate the entire Special Abilities Bureau or just a certain faction in it?" Recalling the disaster that happened to Ji Mu, Tan Xiu asked in a deep voice. "Master, the entire Special Abilities Bureau has decayed from top to bottom. It's no longer a sharp weapon of the nation, but a bunch of arrogant, domineering, and evil bastards. Especially Duan Mulin. He left the Special Abilities Bureau on the surface and pretended to feel guilty to you by successfully entering the pocket world controlled by Long Zhengyu to cultivate. But in fact, he's still the supreme controller of the Special Abilities Bureau and obtained a lot of cultivation resources by getting close to us. He's also the one who imprisoned me here." Upon hearing the word Special Abilities Bureau, Ji Mu's eyes instantly flared up and he loudly complained with righteous indignation. "What did you say? Duan Mulin is still the supreme controller of the Special Abilities Bureau?" Tan Xiu was stunned when he heard Ji Mu's words. During this half a month, Tan Xiu didn't stay by Ji Mu's side to guard him. Instead, he arranged layers of protective arrays around Ji Mu and then began to travel around the world, secretly visiting all his relatives and friends. He visited several major families in the imperial capital, the Ouyang family in Hong Kong, and several major families in Guangdong province. Seeing that all his relatives and friends were living a good life, Tan Xiu didn't show up to disturb their peaceful lives and left quietly. Tan Xiu paid special attention to the great Tang Empire, which was led by Long Zhengyu. Before Tan Xiu left Earth, he handed over almost all the resources except for the magnificent Tang Corporation to Long Zhengyu. He also entrusted all his relatives and friends to Long Zhengyu, so the development of the Long family directly determined the situation of Tan Xiu's relatives and friends. Tan Xiu was particularly satisfied with the great Tang Empire, which was led by Long Zhengyu. Not only had Long Zhengyu reached the perfected crossing tribulation stage, but Li Laozhan had also reached the great ascension stage. Yu Kai, Hu Qingsong, and Zhao Liang had also reached the spirit formation stage. All of them stood at the pinnacle of Earth and could sweep the entire Earth if they joined forces. What surprised Tan Xiu the most was none other than Duanmu Lin. When Tan Xiu crossed his tribulation and ascended to the immortal world, he faintly remembered that Duanmu Lin's cultivation had barely reached the golden core stage. He didn't expect that Duanmu Lin's cultivation would actually reach the great ascension stage after more than 30 years. The speed of his cultivation advancement was just like riding a rocket, which shocked Long Zhengyu and the others. Due to Duanmu Lin's identity, Long Zhengyu and the others were wary of Duanmu Lin at first, fearing that he was a spy who had infiltrated the great Tang Empire. But after witnessing Duanmu Lin kill several groups of people from the Special Abilities Bureau without hesitation, they completely let down their guard against him. "Why did Duanmu Lin imprison you?" Tan Xiu asked with a solemn expression. "Because I obtained a divine stone. When I was about to refine the divine stone to enhance my cultivation, the Special Abilities Bureau's people suddenly appeared. Duanmu Lin was among them. Duanmu Lin immediately killed everyone from the Special Abilities Bureau. He originally wanted to kill me to silence me, but he felt that I had obtained other opportunities in addition to the divine stone. Therefore, he imprisoned me and interrogated me from time to time." Ji Mu gnashed his teeth and asked, "That's right." Chapter 1402. A Divine Stone? Tan Xiu asked curiously. "What's so special about that stone? Why did you call it a divine stone? And how did Duanmu Lin know that you obtained it so quickly?" 20 years ago, our great Tang Empire accidentally discovered a heavenly paradise that seemed to be the residence of a perfected golden immortal. The great Tang Empire found many treasures inside, the most precious of which were 3 elixirs that were consumed by Miao Wenang, Xiao Mingjin, and Long Zhengyu. Apart from the elixirs, we also found some cultivation techniques, immortal artifacts, and letters. After the great Tang Empire distributed all the treasures, they felt that the letters had no research value, so they casually threw them in a corner. I felt that the things recorded by a perfected golden immortal wouldn't be simple, so I asked for the letters to study. In the letters, the perfected golden immortal mentioned the world core. He also said that he broke the barrier between the immortal world and Earth in order to find the world core. Unfortunately, he was seriously injured after passing through the barrier, which greatly reduced his mobility. After I reported the matter of the world core to Long Zhengyu, the great Tang Empire immediately sent people to search for the world core according to the clues left by the perfected golden immortal. However, there were no results. Long Zhengyu felt that it was impossible for a group of ordinary people like us to find something that even a perfected golden immortal couldn't find, so he slowly stopped searching for it. Only I persisted. Because of the huge change in my family, the people of the great Tang Empire and the Special Ability Team thought that I had gone mad. However, I didn't expect that the Special Ability Team would never give up on monitoring and tracking me. Seeing that Tan Xiu was interested in the Divine Stone, Ji Mu's spirit was lifted and he quickly explained the origin of the Divine Stone in detail. After listening to Ji Mu's narration, Tan Xiu could almost confirm that the Divine Stone that Ji Mu mentioned was the World Core, the number 1 divine object in the immortal world. The World Core was the core of the immortal world, located in the most mysterious illusory realm of nothingness. Several eras ago, a supreme expert returned from the God world and borrowed the energy of the World Core to expand the immortal world by several million times. After that, the World Core disappeared. Tang Xiu never expected that the next time he heard of the World Core, it would actually be on Earth. However, after recalling that Earth was once the ancestral planet of the God realm, Tan Xiu felt relieved. The heart of the world isn't something that ordinary people can refine. Ordinary people can only use the heart of the world to increase their cultivation speed. In order to refine the heart of the world, one must become a true god and possess divine power. Glancing at the indignant Ji Mu, Tan Xiu patiently explained, "You should be glad that Duan Mu Lin isn't able to refine the world core. Otherwise, I reckon that you would have been killed by him since you no longer have any value to him." Only a god realm can refine the world core. Then what is the true use of the world core? While Ji Mu's face was filled with shock, he also felt a lingering fear in his heart. The world core is the core of the immortal world. If you control the world core, you can become the master of the immortal world and control the life and death of the immortal world, Tan Xiu said, word by word. After learning about the origin of the world core, Ji Mu couldn't help but exclaim. Although he already knew that the world core was unusual, he never thought that it would have such a great origin. Ji Mu, you should be familiar with your newly acquired power now. Next, you can go on a killing spree. I only have one request, don't hurt the innocent. Also, tell me the birthdays of your wife and daughter, Tan Xiu said in a clear voice after pondering for a moment. Thank you for your help, master. I'll only kill those who deserve to be killed and will never hurt the innocent. After hearing that Tan Xiu allowed him to take revenge, Ji Mu's eyes instantly lit up. He told Tan Xiu the birthdays of his wife and daughter and then left in a hurry. Tan Xiu silently read Ran and Ji Ro's birthdays. In the next moment, his figure had already arrived at the Longquan Mountain in the west and quietly entered the pocket world. Outside the pocket world, hundreds of Tang sect's disciples were patrolling in an orderly manner, completely unaware of Tan Xiu's arrival. After entering the pocket world, Tan Xiu couldn't help but furrow his brows because he faintly smelled the smell of blood. Fierce fighting sounds also came from the depths of the pocket world. Is Long Zhengyu and the others hunting the demonic beasts in the pocket world to temper their strength, or did something happen to them? Tan Xiu performed a teleportation and quickly dashed toward the direction of the fighting sounds. In the depths of the pocket world, Long Zhengyu was bathed in blood and looked battered and exhausted. His face was full of grief and indignation, and his heart was filled with endless regret. Facing the siege of 5 perfected Great Ascension Stage demonic beasts, Long Zhengyu was stretched thin and overwhelmed. But when he saw the Tang sect's disciples dying tragically in the mouths of the demonic beasts, he had no choice but to overdraw his life potential again and again to kill the 5 demonic beasts that weren't at the Great Ascension Stage. Your selfless and selfless spirit is really touching, Long Zhengyu. But you can't even protect yourself now, so do you think you can save the lives of these Tang sect's disciples? A few hundred meters away from the battlefield, Duan Mu Lin leisurely drove away the demonic beasts that approached him and ridiculed loudly. Scram! Long Zhengyu cursed in response to Duan Mu Lin. Instead of dying here, Long Zhengyu, you might as well give me all the medicinal pills, array manuals, alchemy manuals, and refining manuals that Tan Xiu gave you before he left. At the same time, hand over the shares of the magnificent Tang Corporation, the Longquan Mountain Pocket World, and the control of 9 Dragons Island to me. That way, I can spare the lives of your Tang sect's disciples. Else, I'll kill all your Tang sect's disciples one by one after I kill you, and those things will still belong to me in the end. Duan Mu Lin didn't get angry after being spat on by Long Zhengyu, but calmly persuaded him. I'm really blind, Duan Mu Lin. I can't believe I brought you into this pocket world. Kill me and all the Tang sect's disciples if you have the ability. I'd like to see how you can control this pocket world. After Long Zhengyu sent a demonic beast flying, he looked at Duan Mu Lin with eyes full of disgust. Duan Mu Lin couldn't help but frown after seeing Long Zhengyu's stubbornness. Duan Mu Lin had always longed for formidable power, and he began to plan to take control of this pocket world after he learned that the Longquan Mountain Pocket World had inexhaustible cultivation resources. However, Tan Xiu's strength was far beyond his imagination, and he was also on guard against him, which made Duan Mu Lin feel powerless and powerless. After Tan Xiu ascended, Duan Mu Lin began to think about the pocket world again. Being cautious by nature, He didn't directly attack the Tang sect's disciples but paid a huge price to invite other cultivator forces to deal with them together. Seeing that the Tang sect's disciples, led by Long Zhengyu, were retreating in defeat and the pocket world was about to fall into his hands, Miao Wenong and Xiao Mingjin descended from the sky and swept away those cultivator forces in an invincible manner. Later on, these two people simply stayed in the Tang sect and didn't leave. This made Duanmu Lin feel a lingering fear, and he no longer dared to seize the pocket world by force. After thinking about it for a while, Duanmu Lin simply announced his withdrawal from the Special Ability Group and solved many troubles for the magnificent Tang Corporation and the Tang sect, slowly winning the favor of the company and Tang sect's disciples. Although Tan Xiu had told Long Zhengyu to beware of Duanmu Lin before he left, Long Zhengyu gradually accepted Duanmu Lin under Duanmu Lin's painstaking efforts for more than a decade. Even Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjin didn't have any objection against Duanmu Lin. Just like that, Duanmu Lin stepped into the core management of the Tang sect step by step and enjoyed more and more cultivation resources. Unfortunately, Duanmu Lin had no way to intervene in the distribution of the core resources and the management authority of the pocket world, which made him very dissatisfied. However, with Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjin in the pocket world, Duanmu Lin didn't dare to make any unusual moves. Not only did these two people have the strength to sweep the entire earth, but they also had a pair of fiery and golden eyes. Even if Duanmu Lin didn't show any disloyalty, Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjin still suspected him. It wasn't until Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjin ascended that Duanmu Lin began to carry out his plan again. He bribed the Tang sect's people and then made Long Zhengyu a mere figurehead. Half a month ago, he successfully added the latest biological potion developed in the secret base in the Taklamakan Desert into Long Zhengyu's food. This biological potion was colorless, tasteless, and non-toxic. Its only function was to attract the hatred of demonic beasts. The stronger the demonic beast, the greater the hatred it would attract. Hence, Long Zhengyu's tragedy was doomed the moment he took the Tang sect's disciples into the depths of the pocket world to gain experience. Long Zhengyu, it's better to live than to die. Even if you're really unafraid of death, you still have to think about your family. As long as you're willing to hand over the management of the pocket world to me, I guarantee that the Long family will flourish as long as I, Duanmu Lin, am still alive. How about it? Seeing that Long Zhengyu was getting more and more exhausted, Duanmu Lin finally tried his best to say, "If you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for killing you and the Tang sect's disciples and exterminating your Long family for treason. You're shameless." Upon hearing Duanmu Lin's words, the exhausted Long Zhengyu instantly fell to the ground, and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he glared at Duanmu Lin and berated in a stern voice, "Duanmu Lin, you're so despicable and ungrateful. You'll die a graveless death in the future." "Really? But I'm not the one who's going to die now. It's you." Duanmu Lin looked at Long Zhengyu's desperate look and a ferocious expression flashed on his face. "I'll give you 10 breaths to think about it. If you're still stubborn, don't blame this old man for being ruthless. He doesn't need to think about it. You, on the other hand, have to think about how to save your dog life." Right when Duanmu Lin was glaring at Long Zhengyu with a gloomy expression and a ferocious glint in his eyes, a voice that sounded like muffled thunder suddenly resounded in his ears. It shook his eardrums to the point of intense pain, and his 7 souls and 6 spirits were almost scattered. On the contrary, this voice was like the sound of nature to Long Zhengyu. He looked behind Duanmu Lin with a pleasantly surprised face and then fainted. "You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.